Yo, my legendary warriors, Chronos here, and you already know what time it is. Welcome back to What If Deku Had Solo Leveling System, Part 7. The battles are getting crazier, the power-ups are breaking limits, and Deku? He's stepping into a whole new league. Before we dive in, hit that like button. We're aiming for 100 likes to drop the next part. And if you're new here, subscribe and join the Unstoppable Legends because the series? It's only getting more insane from here. Big shout out to Michael Zelanka, the genius behind this concept. Go support them. Now, no more waiting. Let's get into the action. I admire your strength and courage, rising quickly and helping the people that needed help. I thought it was a crush, but after spending more time with you and having fun and the memories we made that I would cherish to the end of the days. What I want to say, if you would give me a chance, I would love to be your girlfriend. I know about Rumi and Gabriel, even if I need to talk to them, I will understand. Nire said, but now she had her head down. Flashback before the Akatsuki gate with Mirio on the phone to Gabriel and Izuku. Hey Bun, what's up? Izuku asked as he got out of the shower. Rumi could clearly see the defined body that her boyfriend had. Izuku had to get out of the shower to answer a call from his girlfriend. Wiping some drool, she spoke. I am dealing with a case in South Japan. Reports of a gang being there, demanding to rule that place. Shaking her head, she continued as she saw Gabriel nodding to her. You said you were going to a gate today, right? Rumi and Gabriel realized that even though they want their man to themselves, they would have to share him. Both of them knew that Izuku mostly grew up by himself since his mother died, bullied and rejected due to him being quirkless a time before. They too saw the juxtaposition of the looks he was getting now. Rumi, as she had knew Izuku for much longer. Secretly before her first official meeting with him, she did an investigation with some of her police friends towards Aldera High School, and she was not pleased. After Izuku woke up from his coma and getting to school to do his exam, he was treated like a celebrity. The duo knew that Izuku was in need of love. Even if he says that the two were enough for him, they knew that Izuku was able to love more. So that is how this plan started. Izuku just nodded. Yeah, the Akatsuki gate. Why? You planning on going with anyone, right? Izuku quirked an eyebrow. He could hear a hint of worry in her tone. Rumi knew that Izuku could deal with an S-rank gate no problem with his shadows around him, but she was still his girlfriend and that gave her the right to worry about him. I don't really know. I will be leaving Gabriel as she is the only one that doesn't scare people and can talk. Sorry, Baru. With that, the shadow ant rose up with a teary expression. Izuku knelt down and patted Baru on the head, making the ant a little happier. Gabriel and Rumi shook their heads. It was like seeing Izuku dealing with a child. If you would ignore the structure of the child being as that of an ant, this may be seen as cute. Gabriel and myself have talked, and how should I put it? Now the both looked and acted nervously for some reason that Izuku couldn't explain why. Gabriel interfered with her melodic voice. What the rabbit is saying, ignoring the twitching eye of Rumi, is that if you find a woman who wants to be with you for you, and we of course approve, you can be with them, darling. Izuku had his eyes widen at that. I thought the two of you were enough for me? This made the girl smile slightly. A lot of males would love to have multiple girlfriends, especially being a national rank, they were given more privileges. Rumi shook her head. Ah, thanks Izuku, but we know that you can love more people. Izuku frowned then sighed. I won't be actively looking. If someone asks me out first, I will consider them first, then the two of you can. That is my only deal. The girls nodded to that. Then Gabriel smirked. I hear the blue-haired female is interesting in you. I approve. Izuku spluttered, cursing that the system doesn't help him with relationships, with Rumi finally saying, I approve of her too. But the two still need to discuss with themselves about the 3-1A females. What a long summer. End of flashback. After Izuku explained this to her, he continued, I have never been good with love, but I would like to try. You are strong, beautiful, powerful, kind-hearted, cute when you ask those questions, and funny, so I would have been stupid to not even consider it. We should go on a date first, then we can see what will happen, Izuku said, gently squeezing her hand. Nire just sat and listened. This went way better than she expected and was excited for her first actual date. Thanks, Zuzu. She truly was happy at that moment. No big three, no hero name, just her and her crush holding hands near the untouched statue of the horned, three-eyed woman. This is complicated. Zuku equals Rumi. Darling equals Gabriel. Zuzu equals Nire. Izu equals AFO granddaughter. Actually, it isn't complicated. I hope you liked the new addition. Now to everything else I wanted to put in. The duo sat in comfortable silence whilst Izuku was silently looking at the screens in front of him. He firstly looked at his new stats with the addition of the 9 levels. Izuku realized that his level growth is slowing down considerably, but is going up anyways. He saw in his inventory 2 swords, Samehada and Kusanagi. Now he does have 2 powerful swords of cutting and absorbing that can help him. Now Izuku had 2 S-rank swords. The last sword he had, Michael's longsword, was given to Igris as a present. Item: Samehada item class. S-type, sword attack. Plus 400 sentient sword wielded by Kisame Hashigaki. Made from chakra-infused shark fins with some fuinjutsu. It shreds, not cuts. Can be equipped or stored. Effect: absorption. It absorbs energy from attacks and energy from opponents when touched. Item: Kusanagi item class. S-type, sword attack, plus 550. Wielded by Orochimaru, the grass cutter can cut through anything if imbued with energy. It has a paralytic potion that is produced that paralyses weaker opponents. Effect: perfect cutter, can cut through anything if MP is added. Effect: paralyzer. Opponents who don't have a regenerative factor may cause paralyzation of the area of impact. Smiling at that, he looked over at his skill section and a smile appeared on his face. Skill: Weapons Expert leveled up from LV.2 to LV.3. Skill: Hand-to-hand leveled up from LV.1 to LV.2. Skill: Sprint leveled up from LV.7 to LV Max. Skill: Fire Manipulation leveled up from LV.2 to LV.3. Skill: Gravity Manipulation leveled up from LV.2 to LV.3. Skill: Shadow Manipulation leveled up from LV.5 to LV.6. Skill: Float leveled up from LV.4 to LV Max. Skill: Float evolved into skill. Flight LV.1. Skill: Black Whip leveled up from LV.3 to LV.4. For those wondering about some of the skills that are maxed out, I am waiting for some of OFA quirks to manifest so it will be cooler and it will give me an opportunity to combine them. Skills. Passive unknown, max, muscularity, LV.1, weapons expert, LV.3, evolved hand-to-hand expert, LV.2, elemental resistance, LV.5, active sprint, LV.max, bloodlust, LV.max, fire manipulation, LV.3, evolved vital strike, LV.4, stealth, LV.7, gravity manipulation, LV.3, evolved spear throw, LV.5, healer, LV.8, shadow manipulation, LV.6, flight, LV.1, evolved black whip, LV.4. He was happy about that. Even if his level won't rise up fast enough, having his skill evolve and level up was always a good thing for him. Now he looked at the window talking about the Akatsuki quest. Defeat the Akatsuki, Part 1 Quest of the Key Collection, completed. Akatsuki was originally a group of 11 S-class missing ninjas from a universe far away. Defeat the 11 to continue with your collection. Rewards: Reward 1, Geiki 2/. Reward 2, random skill from the opponent's. Reward 3, killed November 11th. Do you want to collect the rewards? Yes/no. Thinking yes, Izuku was given the rewards to the all 3. Reward 1, Bija Gate Key 2/. Item class, S, type, key collection, 2/. Key to Bija Gate, location Taiji Temple in Kyoto. Izuku just raised an eyebrow at that. Bija, if he remembered right, were some kind of monsters with multiple tails. Reward 2, random skill from opponent. Randomizing, 3, 2, 1. You received abilities of Tobi, the masked Uchiha. Randomizing, 3, 2, 1. Nijire Hado has received the Abelites of Deidara, the Mad Bomber. Nijire seemed to realize something was off. Izuku cut her off before she could have say anything. How should I say it, Nijire? You got the abilities of the yellow-haired bomber. Was it from the quests? How did I get it? How do I use it? She was quieted by Izuku placing a finger to her lips and a smile causing a little bit of blush to appear on her face. Chuckling softly, he squeezed her hand gently and told her, "You know the explosions? I am pretty sure that instead of clay you can put the explosions into your energy waves or put the energy waves inside something like a ball. Then after it hits something, boom." Izuku explained dramatically. She just laughed at him. "What about you? Apparently I got what Tobi has. But together we can become the strongest in Japan." He gave her his fist a bump. A happy but true smile appeared on her face and fist bumped him. After telling Nerger about the notifications, they went to Deidara's profile with Izuku telling her what she can do now. Explosion Release 1 can manipulate their inner energy to produce explosions. due to the user having an ability to produce energy beams externally. Infusing the explosions into the energy beams will cause an explosion at the end of the shot. Additionally, using the energy to a solid object, one can store explosive energy inside it but not for long. Once it is thrown and hits, then it will explode. Illusion Destroyer Died Era hated illusions of any kind. He created a way to spot, identify and cancel all illusions, maybe sight, smell, hearing, or any other. This same boon will go into the new user of this skill. Now the person won't be able to be mind-controlled or controlled by any way bar external. Nire just sat there with her mouth wide open in shock. Wow, I didn't know about the possibilities with the illusions. Now I need to worry about external manipulation than internal. She muttered in awe and shock. Izuku just smiled at her. With that, Izuku moved on to his new abilities. Sharingan, an ocular ability that will help you perceive things much faster. The 3 Tomo Sharingan has the ability of predicting, copying movements, and putting people under illusions. Manjiko Sharingan, the next stage of the Sharingan. The Manjiko grants the user many abilities, but each person has their own. Due to having it from Tobi, you will gain his abilities. Kamui is a teleportation method that can allow you to travel to different locations. It also allows you to intangible. An addition is the use of Susanoo, a skeletal figure made up of mana called the Ultimate Protection. The abilities will cost mana. Hashirama's cells stolen from the body of the first Hokage. This was originally to help not becoming blind after the using the Manjiku. Now it holds the use of using would release, and after some time, the Manjiko Sharingan can evolve into its final form. Damn, would release? I wonder why he couldn't use wood. Izuku muttered. But then they laughed. It was a time when they both could relax and be in the presence of each other. Okay, last reward for this quest. With that, the third reward was shown, a part of a puzzle. Item name: the Puzzle of the Elementals PT1 item class. Type: puzzle /. Collect 4 pieces of this puzzle and solve it. After that, a surprise will await you. I wonder what kind of surprise it will be. Nire said, looking curiously at the piece of paper. It was obviously been split up into 4 pieces, but the writing in the middle was something that neither of the duo seen before. Then she remembered something. You reached level 150? What did it say? Smiling at his friend, who he will have a date soon with, he looked at the message and read it to her. Special reward for reaching LV 150. Do you want to receive it? Yes/no. After muttering yes, the screen changed into some information, then some more words. Izuku just groaned in the inside. Well done for surpassing level 150. Now you are a high international level hero. Not many can defeat you, but remember, being careless is the quickest way for death. Due to you surpassing level 150, you will gain 3 rewards similar to how you got 1 at level 50 and level 100. Reward: S Reward 1. Plus 50 additional points. Reward 2. Gate Key Rank. Reward 3. Skill: Infinity. Izuku had his eyes widen at this. He did not expect to get this much. Though he is mainly wondering what is the final skill. He placed 40 points into intelligence and 5 to agility and strength. One of the reasons for intelligence was to increase his save shadow skill so he can get all of the B rank gate monsters into his shadows. Reward 2. Gate Key Rank. Item name: Truth Gate Key. Item class: Type: Key. This must be done alone. Secrets will be revealed that cannot be told to anyone. Location: in Washington Monument. That is pretty far. Izuku spoke with Nire nodding. Reward 3. Skill: Infinity. You have learned a new skill, Infinity LV.1. Active, allows you to distort space and time at will. Main function is to make an infinity around you so no one and nothing can touch you. 500 MP to activate and 100 per second to keep up. Izuku grimaced. That was an overpowered skill, sure, but he can keep it active for just over 300 seconds. It may be long, but it is mana exhausting to be used. Nire short-circuited at this information. Sure, she did get a nice new power, but Izuku was kinda lucky with his quirk. She just wondered how powerful their kids will become. Both shaking of their thoughts, Izuku went up to Pain and Tobi and said, "Arise." Both got out of their shadows, and Izuku nodded to how they looked. Pain had deep purple eyes with shadows coming out of them, whilst having red shadowy hair similar to Igris. Tobi, on the other hand, still kept his mask, but it was orange, though you could see the red eye with shadows coming out of it shouting power. Pain LV.10 Captain. Tobi LV.10 Captain. Now the two left with Izuku's new ability Kamui into Izuku's room, where the both fell down onto the bed and started to sleep, awaiting the next day when school restarts. Or at least for the hero students at UA. Gabriel saw this. Ignoring her twitching, a gently smile came over her face. She quickly got under the blanket and hugged Izuku with him, unconsciously hugging her back. Under this is the next chapter info, all of Izuku's attacks such as MP and fatigue requirements with all of his stats, shadow army, skill explanation, armor, and weapons will be shown. I have it all on a Word document, so I update it as I go. Now the chapter 28 is complete. I hope you enjoyed this. Also, there is a reason why I made Izuku this strong. Remember, he is in the rank above captain, and the rank captain is the 5th rank from the bottom. There are 10 ranks. Let that sink in. But I have some interesting ideas as Izuku's level will slowly rise but exponentially even more. Therefore, I will be introducing the so-called villains from solo leveling in the future. Attack. Using fire manipulation to code a sword/hand name. Hell's Punch/Hells/MP. 0 fatigue. 2. It is at the skill level where MP is no longer required, but the maximum temperature currently is 3000 C. The fatigue is there due to the skill. Elemental resistance isn't high enough yet, reaching 2000 C. So Izuku must be careful, otherwise he will end up like Dabi. This is still Izuku's ultimate move. Usually Izuku just throws fire at his enemy, which doesn't cost anything. But due to Izuku using it to put fire on something like his fists or weapon, it can be considered an ultimate move. Attack. Gravity manipulation. Blue name. Blue MP. 1. 200 fatigue. 5. A technique that absorbs everything it touches and attracts more to it. The higher the gravity manipulation, the lower the cost. Attack. Gravity manipulation. Red name. Red MP. 800 fatigue. 3. A technique that repels everything it touches and its surroundings. The higher the gravity manipulation, the lower the cost. If anyone is wondering why Izuku needs MP for those 2 attacks whilst gravity manipulation costs 0 MP, he needed to infuse MP into it to have a more powerful attack than what the Devapath could do. Attack. Domain expansion. Total darkness name. Total darkness MP. 18,000 kill/10. 000 unconscious fatigue. 25 kill/15 unconscious. A technique that have 2 modes. The one that kills any target stuck inside due to the shadows. The other one was the version that Izuku used against All Might. It knocks the person unconscious, but there may be some that survive the knockout. The domain expansion is made by the infusion of shadow manipulation, bloodlust, and gravity manipulation. The cost will be the slowest to go down. After the couple-hour flight, the moment Izuku got out of the plane, he was tackled by 2 figures. A blue and a white bluer tackling him. Catching the 2, he kissed the heads of both the girls and spoke, "Good to see you too." Both girls turned their heads up to see the bright smile that Izuku was giving out. "Finally, you are back. You know how much I missed you? You owe me a bunch of those carrots." Rumi pouted, but then had a grin on her face. Nijire just nodded. MHM. Shaking his head in fondness, Izuku spoke, "Let's get home, then I will make some dinner." Both of them agreed. Due to Rumi and Nijire being the only ones to collect him, Izuku decided not to take the train as the both of them did. "Come forth." With that, Kaisel materialized underneath Izuku and both the girls. Nijire and Rumi shouted in surprise, but after seeing what they were on top of, a massive grin appeared on Rumi's face. Gabriel materialized next to Izuku, and with that, the now 4 occupants flew towards UA, ignoring the people taking pictures of the wyvern. UA. Alarm! Alarm! Something is flying towards UA. Something is flying towards UA. That was the notification that all of the staff received. So when the staff got out to see what it was, they all had their mouths wide open seeing what is coming down. Isn't it interesting? Izuku has a wyvern in his army. Nizu spoke to them. "Do you think it was a good idea for young Midoriya to come to UA in this way?" All Might asked. It was Aizawa who replied with a relieved grin. "Finally, he is back." Midnight asked Present Mike, "Why is he that happy?" The energetic man replied quietly, 1A and Ketsubutsu Academy 1A will be meeting soon, and Ms. Joke will be there. A second later, the wyvern with Izuku, Rumi, Gabriel, and Nijire flew down with the 4 jumping down. "Yo!" Izuku waved at them. "Good to have you back, problem child." Aizawa stated, then Izuku threw him a small box. "What's this?" Izuku just grinned down at him. "Open it up." With that, Aizawa opened it up and saw the cat version of Mount Rushmore. "Thanks, brat." Izuku just nodded at him, ignoring Present Mike crying of not getting anything. "Would it be alright if I go back to my dorm?" Izuku asked, and after he received nods of confirmation, he went towards 1A dorms. The night had some clouds and him walking with Nijire on his back, Gabriel in his shadow, and Rumi just holding his hand. 1A was chilling after their first day of the week. They expected to see their classmate, but suddenly started to feel his presence. Somehow all of them could tell he was suppressing it. With that, all of 1A started to get out of their dorms to greet Izuku. It seemed like they didn't see him for a year or two, but not 3 weeks. Koji was the first to realize that there were 2 more people with Izuku. Isn't that Miruko and Nijire-senpai? Chika Ashigaka didn't know what to feel. She felt happiness that her future lover returned, jealousy that there are 2 women with him. Oh, don't forget about love. So the blonde had a smile of pure joy on the outside. Then 3 blurs came past the rest of the class, a blonde with some explosions, a sword-like shape, and white ice. The final destination was Izuku. Not wanting to use his limitless, he allowed them to hug him and patted their heads. Hiya guys. After the fiasco with the 3 more teens on Izuku, he walked inside and sat on the couch in the main living room. How was the 3 weeks? I hope you enjoyed the gift for passing the provisional exam. They all nodded to that. Izuku was in the middle of a couch with both Nijire and Rumi on either sides of him, with the rest of the class being somewhere around. Tenya started. I have the notes for you for the 3 weeks you have missed. Other than that, some of us started their internships. I guess you are with your brother? Tenya smiled and nodded. What about you guys? Shoko and Katsumi both said, and Deva. Izuku quirked an eyebrow at that, with Kaken explaining why he is the highest-ranking hero currently and who else is to teach the future number 1. Oh, and Shoko has an ice teacher there. She spoke the last bit offhandedly, getting a small glare from Shoko. Hawks gave me an offer. Fumikage spoke, getting a nod from Izuku. I am with Washington. Ochako spoke happily. She wanted to become a rescue hero, and who else but a rescue hero? Tsu also is with me. Izuku nodded with a smile. Although it was nice hearing that Tsuyu was doing okay. Heian continued, I will be starting my internship with Yoroi Musha. Isn't he the same guy who done your work studies? Although Izuku thought, I cannot forget about how I killed his sidekick. Heian nodded with a smile. They continued to talk, with 1A telling Izuku that nothing interesting barred the next day meeting with Ketsubutsu Academy. Apparently they will be sparring more often with that school and Shiketsu more often. Izuku just nodded to that. After 2 hours, Izuku went to sleep to get rid of the time dilation. Rumi and Nijire were stopped by 3 females who yanked the duo to Katsumi's room. So, will you tell me what this is about, brat? Rumi spoke, taking command. Nijire also was interesting of what will be happening. Taking a deep breath, Shoko bowed with the other 2 and asked, We would like for you to allow us to date Izuku. Nijire and Rumi looked at the trio who were bowing. This ain't my choice, but you also need to ask Gabriel. Nijire spoke in a more subdued tone of voice. Heian and Shoko nearly broke her neck from putting her head up pretty fast. Who's she? Whilst Katsumi forgot about her. You probably didn't meet her. She is the most human shadow in Izuku's army and the strongest. Nijire spoke. Grunting, Rumi spoke. I hate to admit it, but the last time we met she was on a national rank level. But I promised to beat her one day. A small crazed grin was on her face. My. Aiming for the heavens, knowing you won't reach it. One shadow appeared from Rumi's shadow, showing the intimidating figure of Gabriel with all 12 wings out. Why would Darling even be interested in you 3? She is more intimidating than last time. Rumi and Katsumi thought together. Hiya Gabriel. Nijire spoke with a wave. Her intimidation went down and waved back towards Nijire, then back to the game of intimidating the 3 girls in front of her. Miruko and Nijire sweat dropped whilst the 3 teens were barely standing on their legs. Heian started stuttering at first, then gaining her confidence. It started because of how he smelled. You see, I can smell people and everyone Barzuka smells. Then after we spent time, I saw his compassion and willingness to help. His kindness is something that I have to respect too. Then the glare of Gabriel was onto Shoko, ignoring the snickering from Nijire and Rumi. He threw Endeva out of UA on the first day of UA. Then Rumi started to laugh from that. From then on he helped me in the ways I didn't know I needed. From getting my mother back from the hospital to making my father change for the better. He is warm and nice to cuddle until Miruko came and stole my warmth. Then sent a glare towards Rumi. Last but not least, the explosive female. My plan was, since I knew he was quirkless, to become a hero whilst he will become a house husband. But as you saw, that never happened. After he saved me from the sludge villain, I saw that even powerless he has a heart of gold. I may have been shit for him in the past, but I still love him. Katsumi fell silent after that. Gabriel moved back to the 2 women and started to whisper with them, whispering back. After the whispering of the trio, they looked at the other trio. Gabriel sighed and spoke for the group. You will need to ask Darling if you can become his girlfriend. Other than that, good luck. And Gabriel turned into a shadow, leaving the others. I will too be leaving. Rumi spoke and Nijire waved at them, going to hug Izuku. The trio of teens sighed and nearly fell on their bums. That was the most stressful moment of my life. Heian spoke. The other 2 had to agree to that fact. Gabriel is usually a calm, collected, and loving shadow, but when someone wants her darling, she could be intimidating. That is also a reason why Rumi likes to challenge her for a fight, Izuku too, but to be the boss girl in the relationship. I will be asking him out during the weekend, Katsumi stated confidently. I will too. Heian nodded to that fact. So all of us on the weekend? Shoko asked unsure, but she received 2 nods. In Izuku's room, seeing that his girlfriends were out probably talking, he went to have a shower. Izuku found that he had a small problem due to his stats being high. He started to suppress them bar intelligence, but the sense stat was annoying. The only way for him to actually reduce it and not have a small migraine was SAS sunglasses. They reduced the information coming towards him at a faster rate. So when he takes them, he could use 100% of his power. Izuku won't lie that he grinned seeing the amount of the system's gold he has. If he wants to, he could break an economy of any country. In his possession was over 500 billion G or over 500 billion gold. The amount he gets when selling the dead monsters' bodies was high. Add to that, he occasionally sends some shadows to clean some places such as the Dogoba beach. He earns a pretty penny. It is also why the news was going about the mysterious disappearance of one of the largest ocean floating dumps that was gone. During the last week of being in USA, he sent out over 100 shadows to clean up some of the ocean, and they did a beautiful job. Now the ocean was cleaner and he earned some money. Remembering the last week of being in the States was something that he was happy about. After the usual patrol and finishing some of the gates, he had free time. Not knowing many people, Zest took the job of showing the States to Izuku as they flew with Kaisel or walked normally, although he needs to speak to Nizu about a plan he had in his mind and to see if that would be possible, if at all. After getting out of the shower and drying himself up, he started to prepare for bed when his girlfriends came into his room. All of them stopped, seeing Izuku with only his towel around his waist, showing his body for everyone to see. Flop, that was Nire passing out due to blood loss, getting a tint of red on his face. Izuku used the ability of instantly having clothes on his body. With that, he checked Nire if she was alright, leaving the dazed Maruko and Gabriel due to them accidentally seeing more than they should for now. Next day, waking up, Izuku could feel that Rumi was on his left, Gabriel on his right, whilst Nire on his stomach. He smiled at them, although he remembered the full talk she had with others about Mirio. 3 weeks ago, when Izuku went back to Japan quickly to comfort her, Nire didn't explain why, but did last night. Even if Izuku knew a bit more than expected from his shadows. Flashback last night. The 4 were on the bed whilst listening to Nire speak, so 3 weeks ago when 1A got their provisional licenses. The big 3, meaning myself, Tamaki, and Mirio, went to explain about internships. Nijire's voice wasn't the happiest at the moment, more somber if Izuku had to place it somewhere. All was going well, until Katsumi was the last one standing on 1A's side as they were against Mirio. Izuku nodded, whilst Rumi and Gabriel, who didn't know anything, just nodded. Izuku probably knows that, but for some reason Mirio lost concentration and Katsumi managed to his permeability. I still don't know why, but then he went from 5% of new power to around 37% of it. Rumi then asked, "Is it a power scale or something?" Izuku's eyes widened for a second. Mirio's new power is something to do with strength and speed, right? Nijire just nodded, then a shit-eating grin appeared on Izuku's face. "I have a theory, but let me give you some history." When the 3 girls nodded, Izuku continued, "During the summer exam when I had to face Bun Bun and All Might, I used my ultimate move, Total Darkness. All of you know that it is a sphere with myself and my opponent in it." The girls nodded. "It was my first time using it on All Might. Inside it, I met some people other than All Might." The girls rose their eyebrows hearing it. There were 7 individuals. Apparently, they were All Might's predecessors. From what one of them told me, All Might gave his quirk to someone, but the predecessors didn't like them and bestowed upon me their quirks for some reason. Rumi then asked, "Ah, so float. Black Whip, right?" Izuku nodded, whist, showing Nijire the Black Whip, which is a new skill. I unlocked the 3rd one. Danger Sense, giving me the ability to tell me when I or someone is in danger. Black Whip and Shadow Manipulation turned into the skill Darkness Overlord. Shaking his head and ignoring the awe, Izuku continued what they were saying before. Continuing with the topic before, one of them named Nana told me that she was alive but not able to do anything. Since then, I was sending my shadows around Japan and its islands to find her. Still no luck. As I mentioned to Rumi then, and I am sorry of not telling you too. I was too shocked that they could move and talk, that I was just listening and Nana kissed me, but I presume it was to get the other quirks into me. He ignored the 3 girls saying that they will kill that lady when they find her. So I guess All Might passed his quirk onto Mirio during the spring break. That is why Sir Night Eye and most probably All Might are invested in him. This explained a lot. All of them went silent until Nijire continued. That is what Mirio meant when he said he had expectations to uphold. Getting an O sound from Rumi, she continued. After Beast stopped the blow and with him throwing Mirio to the other side of the hall, Aizawa-sensei stopped the match. We talked about his quirk and internships, and that was when things started to go down. Mina complimented you with you being one of the strongest and Mirio didn't like that. I asked Mirio if he was okay when Wane was leaving, until he snapped at me verbally. We spoke some words until he fully snapped and with his full power he went after me. I was still getting used to my new explosion power and sent it to Mirio, blasting him. Then I run here. Izuku was hugging Nijire with everyone just hugging everyone. Rumi then spoke. At least you kicked his ass. Some laughter came out of them. Gabriel ached the next question. What did everyone say about your explosions? Nizu already knew. I occasionally train with Katsumi in Training Ground Charlie or Delta to control it. When my class discovered that, I told them that it evolved during a gate raid. Nijire explained to the group present, kissing the foreheads of the three. They began waking up and with that breakfast came. Rumi had to leave to patrol but luckily in the surrounding area for some time whilst Nijire went to her class and Izuku to his. In class all of them were talking then the door opened. Morning. I sadly must inform you that the students of Class 1 from Ketsubutsu Academy will be here after lunch. Katsumi froze, then leaned back towards Izuku. Didn't the two extras go there? It took Izuku a couple of seconds and he too froze. You mean the hairy quirk one and that woman? Yes, that woman. I fucking hate her guts. Katsumi whispered the last thing. Tom skipped lunch. Katsumi and Izuku both were down and internally sulking, so at lunch when meeting Mei and Nijire, and with asking what happened, Katsumi growled out a response. We will be having joining training with Ketsubutsu Academy. 2 of the Class 1 from their school went with us to Aldera. Mei, being the innocent being she is, asked, what happened? One of them, the hairy extra, thought he was top dog. His hygiene was appalling. Shivers went down both Izuku and Katsumi's back. The other one had a minor healing quirk, but she wasn't able to finish due to them hearing a screeching voice. Izuku, everyone winced at her voice. It would have been better to listen to nails scratching a blackboard. I will be seeing you all. With that, Izuku used Kamui to teleport himself to Nizu's office. Safe, Izuku muttered. Nizu rose an eyebrow at him. I am guessing you know her? I wish I didn't. I swear if she didn't have a healing quirk then I would guess she would have a voice-type quirk. Nizu nodded to that. The next day we find Izuku in the middle of the bed with both Nijire and Gabriel hugging him on either sides of him. He smiled lightly and shook his head gently at his predicament. In all honesty, he didn't mind it but felt like he shouldn't be doing it. Now as his sensei called them back, he had around 10 days of summer before UA actually starts. But during those 10 days the hero students of Year 1 would be busy. Gently waking the 2 girls next to him up. He could see Nijire with her bed hair and some drool coming from her mouth. She mumbled, "That was the best sleep I had." Then she realized where she was and an atomic blush came to her face. Gabriel just chuckled at her. The angel didn't mind Nijire. Rumi was a rival of hers even though she could decimate her pretty quickly. Izuku sensed the built-up of energy, most probably the explosion release she gained during their last gate. So he shushed her and explained. Last night when we came from that dungeon, both of us fell asleep instantly. He rubbed the back of his head at the end. In all honesty, he didn't want to rebuild his room if Nijire somehow managed a way to use her gift. It took her a couple of seconds to calm down and then a yawn came from her mouth. I want the warmth. She muttered as she wanted to go back to sleep. It was true, Izuku's body produced a nice warmth that wanted you to keep hugging him. Izuku shook his head. Sorry, Sensei wants my class in our homeroom for something soon. I'll make breakfast. He properly sat up then started to make his way to the kitchen. When she heard the word breakfast, a switch popped on waking her up fully. Izuku chuckled. There is a shower and some spare clothes in the undressing area you can use. Breakfast will be ready in 20 minutes. She hugged him quickly and then left for the shower. It surprisingly took her 15 minutes and she came out brushing her hair. She was wearing Izuku's baggy black shirt, some of Izuku's shorts. For some reason, the greenette liked how his clothes looked on her. After Nijire dried of her hair, she sat on the table/bar that was near the kitchen making idle chatter. The 3 occupants of the room were sitting whilst Izuku and Nijire were eating. Gabriel could eat but decided not to as it was not needed for her survival at all. Saying goodbye to Nijire with a hug, He went to change into his uniform whilst Gabriel lazed around on his bed. Nijire went downstairs, forgetting that she still had Izuku's clothes. She said hi to all 19. Wait, 19? There must be someone new here. Whilst ignoring the looks she was getting as she walked off to her dorm. Downstairs. That was Nijire-senpai, right? Denki asked in shock. He did not expect a big three member to be coming down from the dorms in the morning. Katsumi, for once in a blue moon, didn't swear but had answered in a monotone. She is wearing Izuku's clothing. This shocked all, especially the new girl. She moved in yesterday after being admitted and being tested by Nizu. She is living in the dorm under Katsumi's dorm room in the female side of the building. The day when she was introduced to most of 1A bar Izuku, she was shocked at their kindness and friendliness. She thought that she will get some resentment after she basically got Tsuyu's seat. Tenya then got all of 1A attention. We must be going. Izuku will be coming shortly. He knew his friend won't miss a day of school, so he started to prepare to walk to class. Momo nodded. He was clearing some gates yesterday, so that is why he isn't here. She was trying to justify why he wasn't downstairs already. Ejiro then asked, with Nijire-senpai? Kyoka spoke, I mean they are friends and work together during the internships. With that they all went to class. The new girl gave a last long look behind her, seeing if Izuku would be coming or not. Class 1A. All of them were sweating bullets, even Aizawa. There was a reason, 2 words, Izuku's aura. For some reason he didn't turn it down and was coming closer to their class. Heian asked, he's sure to get strong during the summer. In their class, ignoring Izuku, she had the best ability to tell how strong someone is, and Izuku was smelling extra lush for the Korean student. Aizawa nodded to that, and when the door opened, most of the students would have fallen to the knees from the pressure a happy Izuku was producing. Happy? What got him so hipped up? With Denki thinking, did he get laid? Aizawa stuttered out, can you lower your aura? It was now a little higher than healed All Might if he released it at once. He knew Izuku grows every battle, or in this case per gate, but now it's something else. Izuku had his eyes widen at that, then turned it down. Sorry, I was excited to try out some new moves later on today. After getting the shock from Izuku's aura out of the system, Aizawa nodded. Okay, some announcements first. Izuku went to his seat and waited patiently with a small excited smile on his face. Firstly, we have a new student. She will be replacing Tsuyu. Can you come forth and introduce yourself? Tsuyu Azui, otherwise known as a spy for all for one and the Luage of villains, but secretly one of the 2 spies. After her questioning, she was sent to a rehabilitation center, but it was mainly used as a safety area too. As Tsuyu was working under AFO, even if she hated it, she could be targeted by AFO's underlings. Now she is safely in a secret area, being led into a better path by the help of the rehabilitation center. Now the girl nodded and walked up to the front. Getting a chalk, she wrote her name, Chika Ashigaka. Chika translated as powerful and strong. That was her name. Whilst she came from a clan that ruled over Japan hundreds of years ago, they still have members of the clan living today. My name is Chika Ashigaka, and my hero name is the booster hero, Bia. I came from Shiketsu High, and my quirk is booster. It boosts my strength, flexibility, speed, and some other things. I hope we can become friends. Her eyes lingered on Izuku for some time before bowing and walking to her seat. Bia, her hero name Bia, is from ancient Greek mythology. It is a personification of force, which she is a force of nature. Izuku was shocked, if he was honest. He forgot that there will be a new student from what Nizu told him. Tsukachi conducted a test just in case if she was going to be a traitor, and the results told Izuku that Chika is not. What surprised him the most was her surname. Ashigaka was a clan in Japan a long time ago who had a lot of political power, with now the main branch of the family keeping the clan name whilst the branch families have offshoots of the name. What the clan is famous now is strength quirks and blonde hair. A fun fact was that people thought All Might was from that clan, but All Might disagreed to that statement. When Chika sat down, Aizawa continued talking. Until the school officially starts again, we will be going to be concentrating on ultimate moves. Change into UP uniforms and meet me in Gym Beta. With that, Aizawa left. Izuku was radiating excitement for some reason. This got everyone else to become more and more excited, as not every day you see the neutral but nice Izuku Midoriya this excited. Chika looked at Izuku for a couple of seconds. Her face showed interest, but in the inside her mind a chibi version of Chika was doing loops, seeing how cute her future husband is. Chika had a plan: befriend him, get him on a date, marry, and have a lot of kids. That was her foolproof plan, which she obviously didn't take weeks to make up. 10 minutes later, everyone was changed and were in front of 4 teachers: Eraserhead, All Might, Ectoplasm, and Cementos. Aizawa continued where he left off. As I mentioned earlier, you will be developing or mastering your ultimate moves. Before anyone asks what is an ultimate move, let All Might explain. Looking like he was thrown under the bus, All Might spoke after a second. Ultimate moves is something a person can do with their quirk that is hard to duplicate with other quirks. I basically call my attacks names of USA states as they have different percentage outputs. Cementos continued, some of you already have ultimate moves. Tenya has his Recipro Burst, for example. This made Ingenium's little brother beam in pride. Izuka has his Total Darkness, and I am pretty sure that red and blue are too, right? Izuka nodded, yes, red and blue are part of my super moves as it costs more energy than normal gravity attacks. Ochako asks, can you show it? She, like many of their classmates, were curious of this. You won't see one of the strongest people who are not cocky show their moves. Izuka looked at his teachers, who gave a nod, with Cementos making 2 pillars. Blue and red are completely opposite. When blue absorbs everything, it is near red makes everything be repelled. Izuka shot out a small blue and a small red at the 2 pillars. The blue absorbed some concrete and the pillar making nothing be there, whilst red made a trench with debris everywhere. Those attacks are mainly for monsters in the dungeons, but the amount of energy I gave them is nothing compared to the normal ones that I produce, as I am pretty sure this gym will be nothing. He rubbed his head whilst some students looked disbelievingly at the handsome face that had sunglasses on. A reason which the class discovered that Izuka wore glasses was that it lowered the sensory input he receives and to make fights a little more enjoyable. Other students had stars in their eyes seeing the display. Aizawa then moved to talk. It may not be as distractive as Izuku's, but you will need to have an ultimate move that will help you against villains or monsters. They now remembered that gates started to appear. They completely forgot that the news are mostly about gates and how Izuku or his shadows complete most or help heroes out defeat them. Ectoplasm will help you, whilst the rest of us 3 will be coming from student to student. With that, Cementos made Gym Gamma to have multiple flat tops where students could be. Can I go outside? Some techniques I want to practice will most definitely be more destructive. Izuku asked sheepishly. Then, for some reason, his skill, Limitless, activated to the shock of all. What actually happened was Katsumi to get her nerd to help her out. Some of the classmates had their mouth practically down on the floor seeing what Katsumi was trying to do but failing. Nerd, what is that? She poked again but couldn't touch Izuku. Izuku deactivated his Limitless and now Katsumi could touch him. But fell into his arms as the technique was deactivated. Ah! I discovered a new use for gravity. It is tiring, but I can surround myself with gravity, with the addition of time involved in it. He then places Katsumi on her feet, ignoring her flustered look. And the thing wanting to get to me will slow down by half again and again. Basically, you wouldn't be able to touch me if I have it on. Izuku smiled lightly and Katsumi muttered, overpowered nerds. You needed something? But on the inside, he said, I just jinxed myself, haven't I? As his skills grew, he grew more confident, but from his quirkless upbringing wasn't arrogant, as he knew one stray knife could kill him. Remembering what she wanted, she asked, can I borrow one of your shadows to practice on? Izuku rose an eyebrow and allowed her to continue whilst the rest of the students started to leave to their blocks with an ectoplasm clone. I have a move thought out, but I need an angel of yours to see if I can work something it out. Nodding, can both of us go to one of the outdoor training areas? Aizawa sighed. Sure. Go to training field Zulu. Thanking the man, the 2 were teleported with Izuku's secret power-up, Kamui shocking everyone who was looking. What was that? No one answered that question. Training field Zulu is a special area for multiple reasons. It is a new addition of a training ground sponsored by Izuku. The way he got his money was transferring his system's gold to yen, as 1G is equal to 500 yen. Nizu was a happy camper after the mysterious donation to make a training field for a national-level hero in training, meaning Izuku's private training ground until he gets his own place. It was a large area with 1-meter-thick walls made up of mana crystals. With the help of Meihatsum, it is mostly flat land with grass under their feet. There was a small river running down and some large rocks. You might ask, why was it so expensive for this training ground? Firstly, Nizu had to buy some more land from the surroundings to make this ground 4 times larger than any other training ground. It also has a system that makes the ground go back to how it looks every day, and the walls are made up to resist one of Izuku's punches minimum. What the fuck was that? Katsumi shouted. Then her voice lowered. Also, where are we? Welcome to Training Ground Zulu. This area allows us to go all out, and the training ground will be as new the next day. That is also a semi-private training ground for me, Izuku said cheapishly at the end. Then he got serious at the end to continue, which Katsumi noticed. Kaken. Do not tell anyone what I will show you. Only Nijire knows, as I got them yesterday, but Rumi will know soon too though. Katsumi nodded whilst they sat down on the grass near the water. He activated his Sharingan with the 3 Tomo spinning lazily. These are called the Sharingan. The next level up is the Manjiko, and that is why I could teleport us here. He then showed her his Manjiko Sharingan, shocking her. Was it the S-rank gate yesterday? How was it? Katsumi asked as she didn't know anything about it. Izuku nodded and said, Akatsuki, come forth. With that, 11 shadows came from his shadows, shocking Katsumi. Most of them looked human, but she could feel the power. She doubted that she could defeat any of them. Now tell me what you want to train in? I may help you more if you explain it. She sighed and nodded. I have a way to localize my explosions into a small shot for long distance. So far I have my normal explosions and the larger explosions with my gauntlets. I also have my stun shot. It stuns the opponent, but that's it. She lied down on the grass looking at the clear sky. She was frustrated with herself. She was weak. Katsumi thought that she was strong until UA, where she saw the real difference in strength. Even though Katsumi was reliant on her quirk, she had nothing else but some kickboxing under her belt. Another reason was that she couldn't spend time with Izuku during the summer as he was busy, but she was happy that he was here with her alone. Truthfully, I don't know what to do. I wanted to spend time with you as we didn't spend any time during summer at all. Izuku lied down next to her too, looking up in the sky whilst the Akatsuki members went back to his shadow. Let's start with your idea first. You need to have all areas covered. Your explosions can allow you to fly and shoot from close range, and your style is deadly too. This made a small smile appear on her face. She wasn't in the mood to be her angry self, but a more relaxed self. Your collection of sweat is good for mid-range attacks, and now with this attack you are covering all ranges. What I will advise you to do is to have a small change in your hero costume. This got her full attention. What about grenades? You slowly fill them up with sweat, and even if your quirk is cancelled, somehow you will have a way to continue even if you are in a sticky situation. Katsumi continued to smile lightly. Thanks, Izuku. This means a lot. He just smiled. Look at her, okay? I will leave you Gabriel and Uriel to help you out. Uriel is smarter than myself, and Gabriel can help translate him for you. Whilst you do that, I have some things I need to check out. She nodded gratefully. Then 2 shadows appeared near Izuku, and the trio left Izuku for the rocks. Izuku then muttered, I need to see how to activate Susanoo, do wood-style techniques, and probably combine red and blue. He then summoned Tobi and Zetsu, as they are the perfect infiltration specialists in his army. Tobi, Zetsu, I want you to look around to find a woman called Nana. He then summoned a magician and asked the shadow to project the image from Izuku's memory. I don't know where she is, but can you two please find her? If you can place her in the shared storage, but if not, notify me please, as you two are the best infiltration specialists. The 2 nodded, and Tobi was gone with a swirl, and Zetsu created 100 clones that all went underground and left to find the woman. He then got out some more shadows who were Captain Grade. Baruka, I want you and Raphael to pair up and see about some gates to be completed. Put the bodies in the inventory, but if there are Hurios at the gate, protect them from the shadows, and if they leave anything, then take crystals or the bodies to be sold. I want the same with Mikao and Itachi to pair up. Baru, you can go with Orochimaru. The rest of you can relax, okay? With that, the 6 shadows left to complete their duties. With Nijire, after she left one of dorms, she went to her dorm saying hi to her friends and other members of the Big 3. Nijire, where were you yesterday? Mirio asked, as she wasn't back in the dorms last night and she didn't need to go to Ryukyu's yesterday. I was in a gate with Zuzu in a gate yesterday, then when we teleported to his room and both of us were tired, so we slept in his room. Nijire stated the obvious. Tamaki asked, stuttering some. Doesn't he have a girlfriend? Nijire just smirked at that. He has 2 actually, Maruko and Gabriel. They actually didn't mind if I got into a relationship with him. Anyways, we will have a date soon. With that, she left the 2 shocked teens standing with neither of them being able to say anything. But the date was true. During the days before USA, Izuku promised to take her on a date. After getting to her room, she changed into her training clothes as she would have to play around with her new ability. Now she also needed to control her emotions a little more until she understood how the new skill actually works. Now in her P uniform, she started to jog to 3A's private Fiel's training ground Echo. It was nothing special, but it was designed as a ruined city after an earthquake or massive villain attack. Warming up, she started to stretch her body, preparing her muscles for controlling the explosions. Now if she thought about it, she will have something similar to Katsumi Bakugo from 1A, but in a different use. Nijire started on the ground, pointing her left hand out. She concentrated the energy that she felt in the morning. A wave came out, and when it hit a building, a massive explosion happened on the side of the building, making debris fly out with flames coming out of the room. She couldn't help but look in shock. If she had done a 100% shot, it would do something similar, but would have a larger concentration than what was shown. She looked at her left hand in shock, having her eyes widen with her mouth agape. Nijire couldn't believe the power. She felt that she could have a larger explosion, but also smaller ones if she concentrated enough. Doing so, she kneeled on one leg and put both hands on the pavement, infusing her quirk's energy in the ground. For some reason, she felt as she knew when it will explode. Jumping back, she saw that after 5 seconds, the pavement exploded upwards. But as a result of it, she started to pant a little from the exertion. Wow, I really need to train in this more. I might need to ask Zuko for help. With that, she went to one of the benches and drank some water. With Izuku and Katsumi, training field Zulu. It was 2 hours since Izuku and Katsumi arrived in the training field Zulu. During this time, all of the shadows who were not looking for Nana or looking for Gates were relaxing or having some mock battles with each other. During this time, Katsumi saw that Izuku was meditating for some reason. Now, as she was exhausted from using her quirk, she walked near Izuku and sat next to him, leaning her head on his shoulder. In all honesty, Katsumi didn't care that he had a girlfriend or two, so she asked, "What you doing, nerd?" Smiling lightly. "I am trying to figure out how to use wood. But so far there may be something, but I needed to find it and organize some thoughts. I want to have the wood release, Kamui, Susanoo, and Purple completed before I go to USA." The speed that Katsumi shot up from her leaning position to a standing one was impressive. "Why the fuck are you going to USA? I am interning under Star and Stripe for the first 2 weeks of our second term, then 2 to 3 days per week after that," Izuku explained calmly. Katsumi just huffed. Then she blushed due to her stomach growling in hunger. She shot a glare at Izuku, but he just presented some food that, when Katsumi started to dig in, she couldn't have enough. It was spicy katsudon, whilst Izuku had his classic version of katsudon with some tea or juice on the side. It was relaxing after discovering that her nerd is going to USA. That just meant that she will be spending less and less time with him, but that is a life of a hero. After their lunch, Katsumi started to train her long-distance shots, whilst Izuku stood up and went to an area that was not occupied and thought, "I forgot to do it yesterday." With that being thought, Izuku got the dead monsters from his inventory. "Arise." With that command, 30 shadow soldiers came from the shadows cast by their bodies. Izuku knew that they may not be the strongest, but helping people evacuate or deal with low-level villains, the were-4 types that Izuku arose. The boss, obviously, which was a large white tiger, turned to a black shadow tiger with white eyes, and where the scars were 2 turned white. 10 black horses that had metal armor that when close could have killed a lesser man, but they were fast as a low A rank but durability of a low B rank. All of the horses were all black but had blue eyes and darker black mane and tail. Thirdly, monkeys with swords, and 8 of them. They had metal protection with longer metal nails than usual, but that had brown shadows coming from some of their bodies. Lastly, 11 wolves. Now they had gray outlines and gray shadowed eyes. Their teeth previously shone with metal elongated teeth, but now had longer white teeth. White tiger boss LV.1 Knight, 10 armored horse LV.10 Elite, 8 armored monkey LV.10 Elite, 11 armored wolf LV.10 Elite. Smiling and petting a couple of wolves, Izuku was now being crowded by the new shadows wanting to be pet. Smiling lightly, he started to pet all of the 30, not caring about their spiky weapons. After 5 minutes, he allowed them to explore the surroundings, seeing that Conan took well with the white tiger. "Okay, I think I may have an idea to use with style." He kneeled down on one knee and placed both hands on the ground. He tried commanding with style through him into the ground and unconsciously used MP with it. The next thing that happened was something that neither Izuku nor Katsumi could forget. Trees at the height of 130 m grew from the ground upwards with leaves and branches like it was nothing. Izuku smirked at this. Now activating his eyes into the Manjiko form, he tried pushing MP into them similar to the Kamui to make the Susanoo. Something then started to form around Izuku, and it was some kind of ribs. From the ribs, an arm started to grow, then another, with Izuku pushing more MP through his eyes, making the head start to grow. Continuing the trend, the legs started to grow, making Izuku position higher. Finally, muscle and skin started to form around the bones. Finally, armor and one weapon formed alongside Izuku. Then for some reason he felt as he was flying, he did not see the wings yet. On Izuku's right hand, he saw a massive spear with a longer top than commonly seen. Looking back, he now saw some kind of wings on his back. Izuku made it rise up and started to fly, trying to get a feel for it. Then using his spear, he cut the tops of the new trees in brutal efficiency. Katsumi just watched with her eyes wide open. She never expected the Susanoo to be something like this. The height of the being made up of MP was larger than the trees that Izuku grown. She didn't even know if Izuku could be defeated anymore. With all of his skills, Infinity especially if he masters it, but she would be damned if she got on the bad side. Katsumi was glad that Izuku chose the path of being a hero than a villain, as no one would survive against him and his army of the undead. With Nizu, he looked over at the camera for training ground Zulu and nearly dropped his tea. He just saw that Izuku grown tall-ass trees, climate change could rise slower if he planted more trees. Then looking at what he was doing next, he nearly fainted looking at the tall flying figure. He just thought, what can you not do yet? He then sighed, the HSBC is being more annoying than usual. They have only control of one S-rank hero but a lot of control over the other, Hawks and Endeavor. With the later the HSBC hiding his family problems for some favors. But now as the old national rank hero is starting to lower his activity, they would try to control the newer one, but Nizu was blocking them. Apparently they would want to meet him after Izuku came back from USA. With Izuku and Katsumi, after 10 minutes of flying, Izuku landed down and then dropped to the ground, lying down panting heavily. That was exhausting if he had to say anything. Kamui and Susanoo, the known Abelites of the Manjiko, reduced the MP pretty quickly, and the wood style still needed working out to do. I am making them similar to ultimate techniques, but Kamui and wood style would be used more than Susanoo. Yeah, an organized mess. Attack? Manjiko Sharingan. Kamui name. Kamui MP. 200 teleportation / 20 per SEC permeation fatigue. 0. It is a technique for teleportation oneself or another object, but can give the user a permeation ability for only 20 MP per second. This cannot change. Attack. Manipulation of wood and other plant forms. Name. Wood style MP. 5 - Fatigue. 1. The more MP added, the larger or faster the wood or plant will be. It can be used as making more trees or capture or attack and defense. The fatigue will not change how much MP is used. Attack. Manjiko Sharingan Ultimate Defense. Name. Susanoo MP. 1000 to 5000 to form and 100 per second to maintain fatigue. 5 per minute is the strongest defense from the Manjiko Sharingan. Can be formed as a rib cage for 1000 MP or full body for 5000 MP. This cannot change. Sighing slightly, he drank some water and then started to think about combining red and blue. The name was obvious purple, but the proportions were annoying to form. He just shook his head and went to Katsumi to help her with all of this. 10 days later, Tokyo International Airport. Izuku could have teleported, but no, he had to go like other humans because he didn't have traveling rights for USA yet. Waving at some of his fans, he went towards his plane and sat down. It was a private plane that Star and Stripe got for him to be able to travel to her, so he cannot complain. Gabriel came out of Izuku's shadow and sat next to him, looking over the window, seeing the views under them. The engine started running and soon they saw cars as tiny ants. Izuku was thinking how those days in the UA were pretty fun. The rest of 1A will be starting their class soon, and tomorrow they would be completing the exam for provisional licenses. Izuku also started to talk to Chika, not knowing that this interaction was already planned ahead by the one and only Chika. He thought that she was a nice and outgoing person. Not like Mina, but similar to Kyoka, but bigger breasts, no offense to her. He still couldn't do purple, but had gotten better with Kamui and would release. Izuku smiled, remembering the date that he and Nijire went on. The both of them got permission from Nizu, and Izuku teleported them to a beach on the south side of Japan where they enjoyed most of the day. Izuku got them to a private beach that he booked for the day, and after getting wet from the swimming and playing ball games, Izuku set up a barbecue. After that, they ate, relaxed, and in general had fun. For Nijire, she didn't expect this kind of date, but loved it nevertheless. In all honesty, she would prefer this kind of date than going to a restaurant. With that, Izuku fell asleep with Gabriel soon after on his shoulder. The two Kwamis came out and slept on Izuku's hair. It was a couple of hours later when the two woke up, seeing that they are going to be coming down to USA soon. They started seeing the ground underneath them, with Gabriel being excited as she was seeing another part of the world. Gabriel went back to Izuku's shadow for some time whilst the plane landed. Getting out of the plane, he saw Kathleen with some of her employees, or as she called them, brothers. Izuku waved at all of them, but when the #1 hero of America came to Izuku, the both of them hugged each other, with Izuku not being crunched up like last time, to the surprise of Kathleen. "Welcome to America, Izuku." Izuku just smiled at that. Class 1A with Rumi and Nijire all said bye to Izuku as he left for the internships. It was a surprise to many seeing Rumi and Nijire hugging Izuku, but they went back to UA for their first lesson, which was a little later than usual. In class, all 19 students were there, so Aizawa started to talk. "As you know, your provisional exams will be coming up later today. Hitoshi Shinso will be coming with us to the exam site and will most likely be given the 21st seat of 1A. This got many excited. Their relationship with Hitoshi went up since the camp, even if he was kidnapped. Sadly for the purple-haired kid, he just wanted to be left alone most of the time. With that being said, Hitoshi came in. For the time being, you can sit in Izuku's place. You will be having a seat placed soon. Hitoshi gave a grateful smile and nodded. We will be leaving at noon. Don't put your hero clothes on yet. Tenya stood up and rose his hand up. Sir, I have a question. Getting a nod, he continued. What will the exams be like? There will be two parts to it. It is usually some kind of team activity first, then a rescue. But with the emergence of the gates, there may be a new component or it will be done slightly different. Aizawa explained. After the gates was more well known, laws and regulations were needed to be placed. Izuku did indeed send out at least 1 or 2 measuring devices to all hero embassies. Now with that, it was safer for people. What the Japanese HSPC did, like many others, allowed people to go into gates if they have some type of license. There are 3 types of licenses: the normal civilian type that allows people to go into E and D rank gates and use their quirks. The provisional license, which is the same as the hero provisional license, allows those people to go to the gates up to their rank level. So for example, if Katsumi would have gotten her provisional, she could go to an A rank gate, but you will be needing a hero with the same rank. Finally, the proper so-called hunters or heroes, they could go up to a rank higher gate, but as support for those type of gates. There was an exception to the rule. Izuku Midoriya, he could do any gate he wants as he was a national level. With that being said, the exams too needed to be changed a little as the governments around the world see that gates start appearing more often every day. There were reports of gates not actually being open and killing some humans nearby, which was concerning. At the exam center, 1A with Hitoshi got out of the bus with their hero suits in the hand with Aizawa and surprisingly Nijire as their supervisors for the day. The bubbly brunette wanted to see how Izuku's friends did during the exam, so she went with Aizawa. Now as the class was standing with Nijire in her hero suit waiting for Aizawa to get out of the bus, they were approached by Ketsubutsu Academy High, especially by a black-haired kid named Yoshindo. You must be UA. I am a big fan, he said with a fake but cocky smile towards them. I see Izuku Midoriya isn't here. A shame, but you are nothing compared to him. Yo wanted to rile them up so more mistakes would be made by them. What he didn't expect was laughter and smirks. Oh, we know, but at least he is helping up getting stronger. Shoko uncharacteristically spoke. This was a minor surprise as the quiet girl doesn't usually speak out loud. But then Yo came up to her and held her hands. A beauty. Wow, I am Yoshindo. What is your name? He said with his most charming smile. With a sweetly sick smile, she started to freeze the hands of Yo, Shoko Todoroki. Then when Yo felt his hands freeze over, he jumped back and used his quirk to crack the ice, breaking it to pieces. Shota. That word made Ariza's head freeze up. Let's get married. A lot of students from both schools sweat dropped at that. With a look straight at Emi, he said, No joke. She quirked her eyebrow. You don't look dead. Let's get married so you won't look dead. A facepalm was heard from the teacher. I may not be as tired as before, but still no. He then turned to his students. Get inside, guys, get changed, and follow the instructions. With that being said, they were about to leave when Class 1A was stopped, or more specifically Chika. Chika girl, how you doing? Chika turned around and smiled. Hey Cammy. Good to see you again. The duo hugged with confusion coming from 1A. This guys is my friend from Shiketsu, Cammy. Cammy, these are my new classmates at UA. That's rad. We're the hottie you've been talking about. Izuku, right? Chika covered Cammy's mouth so she wouldn't be talking about anything Chika didn't want. Nijire had her eyebrow risen. Not surprised anymore that more girls had a crush on her Zuzu. Katsumi had her eye twitching. Kaminari then laughed. I wonder when Izuku will realize that. He is pretty dense if a girl doesn't ask him out. This made all girls interested in Izuku to freeze and realize that what he said was true. Nijire just boinked him on the head. You guys should start going. I will be cheering on you guys. Nijire spoke to them. They nodded and started to leave. Bye Nijire senpai. Most of 1A said as they left. Emi then looked at her old friend. Did you not tell them about the exams? He just quirked an eyebrow. You know, UA crush. Shota just laughed. If you expect my kids to be the same as the sports festival, you are mistaken horribly. They will crush their competition. With that, Aizawa went to the viewing area with Nijire, with Joke following them shortly. So where is Monarch? Joke asked. She was curious and did want to see him in person. He went to America for internships. He will be back in 3 weeks or something. Aizawa stated non-committedly. Joke just pouted at that. I wonder how Zuzu is doing? I think he is still on the plane. Nijire thought. With 1A, they got into their hero suits and were standing with around 2,000 other students in a massive rectangular room. Yakumaru Mera, the organizer of the exams, came up on the stage and the participants became quiet. The man looked worse than Aizawa, some of one students mused. Good afternoon. I am Yakumaru Mera, and I am the overseer of this exam. The disinterested way he said those words made the participants raise an eyebrow. Welcome to the provisional exams. As you may know, gates are appearing more frequently, meaning more Hurios will be needed to counter them. Even if we have Monarch doing most of them at the moment, we still need more heroes to complete them. However, the standard of the heroes dropped. We only want best of the best. Out of over 2,000 of you, only 150 would actually get the license. This shocked many of those participants, but they understood the underlying truth in the words of the nearly dead man. Usually we would have an elimination part for the first round, which is everyone against everyone, but this time you will have to worry about fake monsters. Don't worry, they are programmed to not kill you, but can still injure you. Some shouts were heard, but Yakumaru just ignored them. For this round, you will need to have 3 special pods placed on a visible part of your hero costume or body. Behind him, an image showing the allowed locations of the small circular disc placement. You will be given 2 balls each, and with those 3 balls, you will need to eliminate 3 opponents. The discs will turn red if a ball touches it, but when all 3 discs were hit, the one who got the last point receives the pass. If all of the 3 discs flash red, you are out, but if yours flash green, then you pass. Only 150 people can pass. Good luck and make it quick. After that, a massive yawn came out of the mouth of the man as he walked away. Let's kill those fuckers. One explosive blonde shouted with an explosion coming from her fists. Heian nodded. If we pass, then we can go into gates with Izuku. Ejiro came up to them and said, "We will win. Manliness." Others from 1A just chuckled at the uplifting spirit of Ejiro. This is what some of the class needed. It wasn't as if they were not ready, but they needed more confidence. Some even wished that Izuku was there fighting with them. After everyone got their discs and the 3 balls, the box opened up. Over the speaker, a voice was heard. You have 5 minutes to get into a favorable location. Most of 1A actually stayed together. Only a small group of Katsumi, which got Shoko, Heian, Ejiro, and Denki with them to a location that was inspired by a town. Go! With the final announcement, hell started with Katsumi's group. After walking for some time with Katsumi arguing with Denki, they heard the word go. With that, robots at the size of the 2-pointer that she had to face during the entrance exam jumped out of their hiding places. Using the move she learnt not too long ago, she shot one in the head, destroying it. The robots didn't look that bad, but the group soon realized that there are 3 types of robots: the speedsters, the tankers, and assassins. What Katsumi just killed was an assassin. They don't produce any sound and are agile. Tankers have shields on them and punch hard, whilst the speedster's speed was high, its actual defense was low. Heian threw one of her swords at a tanker, distracting it, whilst she materialized a sword for a kill. Going to the left, she stabbed a sword that had the properties of fire, destroying it. The group of 5 then were met with a group of 20 students with colorful ninja outfits. Katsumi just snorted, "Wannabe ninja. Oi, give up and we won't rough you up that badly." One of the wannabes spoke up. That person was throwing some nuts up and down, the metal ones more specifically. Ejiro took a step forward. "That isn't manly enough for us." With that, Shoko froze the whole floor, making some of the ninjas stuck. Denki, with the support of Ejiro and Heian, rushed towards them, and with Ejiro taking a blow from an enlarged nut. Heian jumped above Ejiro with a sword made up of electricity to knock out one of her opponents, whilst Denki went from a side with his disc shooters. A purple ninja with a black one dodged it, but when they wanted to make fun of the blonde, Kaminari shot electricity, knocking the 2 unconscious. Katsumi shot towards a blue ninja. Preparing for an explosion, the ninja shot water out of his hands, nearly hitting her. Due to the time training with Izuku, she dodged that purposefully at the last second, then boom, shooting a massive explosion that caused the blue ninja to hit a white ninja, cracking some bones, but having the both go unconscious. They are weak. But when she looked around, she saw that all of the 20 ninja are unconscious. She then took her ball and eliminated 3, whilst the rest of the team eliminated the others. Heian came closer and said, "Izuku taught us we may never rise to his level, but our skills are no joke either." Denki nodded. With his idea of making a metal disc fly out, and with this new armor from the mana crystals, I don't get brain fried that easily. He is a manly's man of all men, but with his help I can go ultra hard. An awkward silence came upon then, with the 4 others looking at Ejiro like a madman. Laughter is what became after what Ejiro mentioned. "Yeah, he is amazing. I wish he could see us in this exam." Shoko mentioned, with the agreement of the others. Aizawa and the group. 5 students from UA passed the first test. The speaker announced, "Yay, 15 more, and it barely been a couple of minutes." Nijire stated excitedly. "Indeed, That is the only word that came out of his mouth. Aizawa was proud of his students, especially Izuku. Neither may show it much, but both actually cared for each other, both knowing that the both will have their backs in the field even if Izuku was lieges above Aizawa. Flashback a couple of days. Aizawa was walking to training field Zulu to check up on his two students. There was only one gate, and walking through the teacher's mouth was hanged loosely. Multiple reasons. There were massive trees that Izuku was seen producing from a massive skeletal figure that was just as tall as the trees. Secondly, his favorite bison was playing with the other animal shadows that were present. Thirdly, there was a massive white cat, waving at his student who saw him and came down to greet him. Aizawa was intercepted by the bison and the white tiger asking to be scratched. Obliging, he scratched the both behind the ear. When Izuku came up and sat down, the bison went behind Aizawa and sat down so he could lean on it. The cat then laid next to him whilst some wolves and horses were around Izuku and the teacher. I see you have more shadows. Planning on getting more? Yeah, even if I have shadows and gates doing them, I don't think I will be arising them. Izuku mentioned to the teacher, how much space do you have left for the shadows? Around 20, give or take. I am happy at the moment with them. As you see, some are relaxing, some are training, and some are doing missions. Izuku explained in a carefree voice. Aizawa just smiled. Patting the head of the tiger was something that he started to enjoy more and more often. Can I have the bison and the tiger? Izuku looked at the two, and with a question behind the next word. Izuku asked, do you two want to stay with sensei? The two animals looked at each other and nodded to Izuku, smiling. What are you naming them? The tiger, Luna. The bison, Donald. Great Siberian bison, Donald Elite. White tiger boss, Luna, Knight. Great, now you two have bodyguards. Izuku joked around. The duo then continued to talk about Izuku's progress and everything. If Shota Aizawa ever had a child, he wished the child would be like Izuku. Flashback end. The heads of the bison and the tiger poked out and Aizawa patted the both of them. Nijire squealed and started scratching the tiger. You two can get out if you want, the teacher stated. Much to the shock of Ms. Joke and some spectators, a tiger and bison taller than Aizawa arose and then laid in front of the teacher. Student duo. Luna, Donald. You two good. Getting a nod from both shadows, Aizawa continued to watch his students. Ms. Joke then spoke in surprise. When did you have your own shadow? Shota just chuckled. I started to like the two of them and they are my bodyguards, or things to cuddle up to. Pouting. No fair. I want to cuddle with you. Then laughter erupted from the woman. No one knew this, but the reason why the two got out of the shadow was for Izuku to see what was happening with his friends as he was bored on the flight. It took another 20 minutes for the rest of the 15 1A students to finish up the first test. As there were no mass eliminations, more competition was there. Add the fact that UA crushing was a thing they barely got through. Aizawa was proud of Aoyama. He was nearly failing the hero course, but during summer some spark reappeared in the young man. Now there was a 30-minute break where all of 1A could relax whilst waiting for the second part to be prepared. Somewhere where humans lack the fortitude of knowing. We see the bearded old man looking through some kind of mist that showed an image of 8 individuals sitting around a table. The man sadly couldn't hear the conversation, but let us get into the conversation. The conversation between the 8. Power, that was what was felt. Pure, ungodly power was felt around the 8 individuals sitting around the table. There was one individual that oozed more power than the others in the room. That was the one who started this conversation. The one who has his power is still weak, but had grown in other skills. The only woman of the group had a massive blush seeing the image of the man that she fell in love with, reborn into a new being. My still handsome as ever, my love. A blue figure smirked. Why are we not attacking him now? It still takes time to getting to this planet with our armies. Somehow, the creator is fucking our plans up. The de facto leader spoke. Old man is getting weaker. One of the figures stated in an arrogant tone. The leader shook their head. We stole the power from him. Even if he got the most of it, his earthly body is still not strong enough to cause a concern for us. Now as Class 1A were waiting for the next part to be explained, they overheard some of the other remaining participants mutter. Kyoka and Mezu especially heard the comments due to their quirks being useful for information gathering. We are lucky that Monarch already was given his license, otherwise we would have been toast. I swear UA is riding on Monarch's success and power. Monarch is so hot, those were the comments that 1A was hearing. They knew that Izuku hates the media, and it was mainly thanks by the League of Villains that he is well known now. However, due to their underestimation of them allowed them to all succeed. Yuga Aoyama was one of the weakest in the class due to his low stamina, but his pain tolerance was high. Even he would have to admit it was easy to fool others when they were stressing. During the 1 week with Shota, Aizawa helped him not rely fully on his quirk and allowed his to expand his battle capabilities. From shooting lasers from his joints to a better combat style, he was improving. The way he completed the first part was by having teamed up with Tenya, Hanta, and Koji. Yuga shot his beam up, and after other participants saw it, they rushed to get a point, but were captured by Hanta's tape. With the help of Tenya and Koji, they immobilized the group, allowing them to succeed. Chika had a thought though. He is in America. Damn it, I will need to wait for 3 weeks. What should I do? Yes, some stress-relieving punches would work. She mainly stayed with her classmates. She was one of the first of her class to pass, but it may have been from using her enhanced speed to capture them. Villains have attacked the City X. The civilians are in dire need of your rescue. Rescue the civilians. With that, the speaker finished. Some thought they heard, "Last part, yay." Otherwise, the box they stood in opened up, revealing the arena they were all at destroyed. "What are you doing standing there? Save us." One of the members of the civilians' rescue simulation person shouted. Some grumbled, but all complied. 1A was glad that it was rescue. During the 10 days of training, they had a civilian rescue from a nearly falling down mall center. It was similar to what was happening now, but with more casualties. A handful of the students started making the medical area, whilst some went straight for looking for the civilians. Momo took charge and allocated everyone what they needed to be doing. The plan was smooth except Katsumi shouting at some of the people she needed to rescue, yet a good day to be her. The remaining Shiketsu students cleared up a helicopter landing area. Some other schools joined with other schools to be able to help rescue the civilians. This time, they didn't have to compete with others to pass. Alarm! Villains have entered the premises to take back the Town X. Defend the civilians and counter the villains. The so-called villains were the members of Gang Orca Agency, with the number 10 hero himself standing proud. Next to him stood one more figure that a lot of students recognized, MT Lady. She was invited due to multiple reasons. Firstly, the HSBC will help her with her property damage she caused during her career. Secondly, it will also give her a minor boost in popularity. Thirdly, she wanted to see Izuku, but she forgot that he already has his provisional license. A massive smirk appeared on the heroine's face as she grew to her giant size. During this time, Gang Orca sent out a sonic wave towards the students, making some stumble back. Yu, the student of Ms. Joke, rushed forward and with his quirk made the ground shake. MT Lady regained her composure and jumped towards the students. Her goal was to distract them whilst Gang Orca would deal more damage to the opponents. Shoko, seeing this, made a massive ice wall blocking her path, but was soon destroyed by her giant legs. Whilst this was happening, the rest of the 150 participants continued with the evacuation, with some branching off to help defeat the sidekicks and the 2 pro heroes. They still had a good amount of people to rescue. Heian used a water-type sword to rescue some civilians from the water. Mizo used his dupli arms to carry 3 injured to the relocated medical center. Chika was pushing some constructions to allow access for other students to get an elderly woman out of the rubble. Katsumi was one of the defenders. She was aiming an explosion for MT Lady's face. Pops were heard as Katsumi prepared for an attack. MT Lady started to swat the UA student like a fly, but with Katsumi's mastery of movement in the air, the ash blonde girl dodged all of the attacks. Stun grenade, disorientating the large woman. Katsumi did one final attack, howitzer impact. A massive explosion occurred, knocking MT Lady backwards a couple of meters. Gang Orca wasn't faring any better. With the added weight from the weights, he couldn't move that fast. Still though, he is considered to be AS rank hero. Shoko sent multiple ice shots at the Orca, then having it be blasted back by the sonic attack that the man could produce. Then Fumikage came forward with Dark Shadow in a larger size than normal. The shadow started to attack Gang Orca relentlessly, exposing the slow movements of the arms of the man. Hyoka and some students from Shiketsu were sending long-range attacks at the sidekicks that held cement guns. The students were keeping their ground until an announcement was heard. All civilians have been evacuated. The exam has been finished, the speaker announced. Please wait until the final results. With that, Katsumi fell on her back panting. Who knew that MT Lady was an A-rank hero? I need to get stronger for Izuku and myself. She couldn't wait to get into some gates and gain experience, but also against villains, as that is what she was missing the most. On the other side, a smaller version of MT Lady was seen. She had some soot on her body from Katsumi, but otherwise she was good but tired, netherless. Announcement screen. It was 20 minutes after the end of the second exam, with the proctor standing up on a stage with a massive screen behind him. Well done for coming this far. A yawn escaped his mouth. Behind me on this monitor will show who passed the second round. You need more than 50 points to pass, as it was a reduction system from 100. With that being said, the names appeared behind him. You will be given a sheet saying what you did right and wrong, also the points you scored. If you can't see your name on the screen, don't worry. We will be having remedial classes allowing you to pass in 3 months, or you can redo it in 6 months' time. With that, the tired man left to get some well-deserved sleep. Honestly, all of the participants felt pity, as it was clearly seen that he was being overworked. Especially Hitoshi felt bad, as the man looked worse than himself. Everyone in Class 1A passed, much to the shock of all of them. Hitoshi, who started training properly for a couple of months, was happier than ever too. When they received their paper, Katsumi was sweating. The reason why? She got 51, one less point, and she wouldn't have got the license. Reading further, she realized that her foul mouth probably did get her a low score. But now she didn't care. She could spend more time with Izuku. Heian received an 84 whilst Shoko a 78. The rest of the students were chatting. After getting their license, they all sent a class photo to Izuku, whilst some individuals sending him a private message with message of thanking him. All of the Class 1A had to thank Izuku, as it was Izuku that gave them experience with his Shadow's different fighting styles, even if most held back. From that, they gained experience using their quirks but also working together. Aizawa and Nijire came to them. Well done, guys. You did well, Nijire stated in her bubbly voice. Even if she didn't spend time with a lot of them, she was feeling pride for Izuku's classmates. Wana-sensei nodded to that. I agree. Now let us get going. He wasn't tired as much since Izuku gave him the energy drinks, but he still wanted to have his private time cuddling to his bodyguards. Before any of them tried to leave, Ms. Joke tried to hug Aizawa but was blocked by Donald and Luna. Aizawa had a shit-eating grin on his face. Thanks, Donald. Luna. Ms. Joke just pouted, though she said, don't forget, love, we will be meeting in 4 weeks for joint training. With that, she waved and jumped away. Fuck. Now this shouldn't be heard by any person, as all of 1A and Nijire were blushing up a storm hearing the pretty multiple words that came out of their teacher's mouth. That is a lot of swear words, all of 1A thought. Let's say a lot of 1A and Nijire didn't even know that some of those words even existed, so new words were learnt. Where is Izuku when you need him? Aizawa muttered at the end, although he became happier knowing that his favorite problem child will be back from America by then. When they arrived at the dorms, they were greeted to a lot of pizzas, chips, fizzy drinks, and other fast foods. A letter was on top saying, well done, guys. I saw your messages and I am proud of you guys. Train hard, and I would even arrange a class dungeon to be completed. It was Momo who read it, and the rest of the students were happy hearing that. All of them knew who it was, as most of them only sent a message to their parents and Izuku. Next day, it was Tuesday, and the school life returned to normal until the afternoon when Aizawa announced something. Now you will be having guests. You already met the 3, but they will be telling you about internships. Ejiro asked, is it the same as what Izuku is doing? He just received a nod from the teacher until the door was flung open, revealing the Big 3. Mirio, the de facto leader of the Big 3, came up to the center and exchanged pleasantries with Shota. Getting permission, the mini All Might started. Hiya, as you already know, we are the Big 3. I am Mirio. The shy person is Tamaki, and finally Nijire. They don't look like potatoes. Everyone just ignored Tamaki, already kind of used to the behavior of the shy boy. Now tell me, the future will be. An awkward silence overcame the classroom. Grim. Denki then muttered, but everyone heard him. I mean, it is already grim with the gates and the increase of villain activity. The rest of the students nodded, and the class vice president stated, that is why we are here. To increase the safety of everyone. Mirio just sweat dropped. Maybe if he didn't introduce himself to them during the final exams, then the reaction would be different. Anyways, internships is basically being a sidekick to a hero. They help you to get stronger and teach you the way to become a better hero. Anyways, it is a better way to show you guys than sitting in your seats. He then turned to Aizawa. With you permission, can we go to Gym Alpha? The Erasure hero nodded and then told the class, get into your PE uniform and meet in Gym Alpha in 10 minutes. With that, everyone left, with Nijire being last to leave out of Big 3. Gym Alpha. The gym facilities don't really have gyms, but a massive closed-off area where students could train. The actual gyms are located in a different part of the campus. Mirio stood in front of 1A, who all wore their PE uniforms. Okay, now you 20 will be facing against myself. Are you sure, senpai? Wouldn't it be unfair for you? Hanta asked. Indeed. That sounds like unfavorable odds for you. Fumikage continued. A smirk was the answer that Class 1A got. Anyways, ready? Go! With that, 1A arranged themselves in the front fighters, mid-ranged and long-range support. Everyone was shocked when Mirio seemed to disappear into the ground and jump back near Hitoshi, hitting his stomach, making the boy nearly pass away. Always deal with the people with mind-type quirks. Then he once again disappeared. Some of the students who were near him tried to attack, but their attacks seemed to phase through him. Now, if I think about it, Zuko has a similar ability thanks from his Sharingan. Nire thought thinking about her boyfriend? They will have another date when he comes back and see how it goes from there. During the time Nire was daydreaming, Mirio took out the long-range attackers. Next were the long-range attackers. Using 5% of OFA, a small, nearly not visible golden aura surrounded him, making his speed be faster, surprising Shoko, who nearly froze the big three member. But as everyone, Mirio hit her stomach, making her go onto the floor. Katsumi shot forward, but as her explosion went through him, she used her instincts to shot herself upwards, missing a punch from Mirio. Mirio continued the demolition of 1A. Heian tried blocking the blonde man with her sword, but his arm passed through, but when his arm was through then he punched Heian. Izuku cannot do that. It is either all of his being fully permeated or not, unlike Mirio. Nire thought with a frown. Aizawa, seeing that, he leaned down near her and asked, "What's wrong?" Izuku has a similar skill, but the difference is that he can only do it fully or not, unlike Mirio. Nire explained. Aizawa nodded to that. Tamaki heard some of it and thought, what does she mean with Izuku having a similar ability as Mirio? It was weird. He thought that Nire would be saying everything to them than keeping secrets. But himself and Mirio were too keeping secrets, so he couldn't blame her. There was only a problem: Mirio was close enough to hear what Nire said. This got himself to lose concentration of both Ofei and permeation, allowing Katsumi, the last one standing, to send a massive explosion at Mirio, knocking him off his feet. "Ha, got you." She smirked as she jumped back. Katsumi saw that the naked male was in a sour mood that made Mirio not realize that he used his current maximum of 37% rushing at full speed at a wide-eye Katsumi. She tried to get away as she knew that it wouldn't be pretty after that. The aura around Mirio intensified a lot. It was of a mid-S rank, but the visible gold sheen was seen clearly. Time was slowing down. Katsumi, who was never against a challenge, was shaking now. Closing her eyes and trying to put her arms up to guard herself. Nothing happened. Aizawa and everyone in the gym saw that Mirio for some reason released his aura and intensified his Ofei usage. Being too late to react, that saw as Katsumi tried to get her guard up to protect herself. Shota also saw that some students tried doing something to protect Katsumi, but something surprising happened. Izuku told no one except Nizu that he left a night-level shadow in everyone a student, except Katsumi, Shoko, and Heian, where he placed an elite kink just in case. Izuku also placed an elite knight in Nijire's and Rumi's shadow just in case he needed to use the skill of teleportation to get to them. What stood in front of Katsumi was Beast, the Nomu that Izuku defeated during the USJ incident. The shadow who had the resemblance to a bird Nomu hold Mirio's fist like it was nothing. The shock nullification and the increased regeneration that increased when he reached the near high-end type also helped the shadow. Then Beast used his strength and threw Mirio to one side of the gym, then stood protectively in front of Katsumi. Katsumi, who opened her eyes after not feeling the punch, saw that it was Izuku's first shadow he got from the outside world. Beast. She then had a light smile. Even if she hated to admit it, she was thankful for Izuku for placing a shadow with her. This meant a couple of things. He placed a shadow just in case if Katsumi bit more than she could chew, but also showed that he was worried about them, but she knew that Izuku believed that she could protect herself. Aizawa went up to Mirio and asked, "What was that about?" "That would have nearly break a lot of bones if that attack hit. My students may be strong, but that attack was overkill even for you, Mirio." Mirio got out of his annoyed state and spoke in a fake sincere tone. "Sorry about it, sensei." He bowed towards Aizawa, then towards Katsumi. Seeing that, Beast returned to Katsumi's shadow. Shaking his head of the final thoughts, he spoke, "So what do you guys think? You quirk is up. Internships will help us grow. You need clothes so you won't become naked. You have a strong quirk." Mirio shook his head. "Originally my quirk was weak. I began to control it during my first year properly with my teacher Sir Night Eye. My quirk was called permeation. However, my quirk evolved, allowing me to become stronger and faster last summer. Now it is called permeation and body weight." That was a shit excuse in all honesty, but everything goes right. The strength could be said that he is putting more weight or less weight, making his speed go up, or strength of his punches. Aizawa then started to talk. "Mirio here is one of the strongest students and an applicant for the #1 hero in Japan." One student asked but stated at the same time, "Wouldn't Izuku become the #1? He is a national-level hero, he is helping a lot of countries with the gates, and even his shadows are helping allowing Japan to have the lowest gate deaths. That was surprisingly Mina who said this. Everyone missed Mirio's twitching eyebrow Aizawa and Nijiri. We still don't know about his situation as he is still a first year. But yes, he is one of the strongest. But in the inside, if he masters infinity and other skills he gained, no one will be able to defeat him. With that, the students began to leave with the permission of Aizawa. But the big three stayed, but before 1A and their teacher could fully leave, they were stopped by the conversation that happened behind them. Nijire asked Mirio in a concerned tone, "Mirio, are you okay?" In an annoyed tone, he said, "Teich, I was meant to become the strongest, but now with that Izuku." The rest of the words were lost to all as it was said under Mirio's breath. Raising an eyebrow but not letting the anger control Nijire, she asked, "Mirio, you still have time to grow. As you said you can nearly control 40%, imagine your power at 100%. For some reason Tamaki flinched, but it wasn't seen by Nijire. Frustration was clouding Mirio's mind. After Sir Knight I seeing the future without Izuku, he believed that he will become the 10th national rank hero, become the #1 of Japan. Be able to become the next All Might, the strongest. With the pressure that was applied by All Might accidentally saying things about a protege by accident, people were starting to think it was Mirio as he was working with All Might's only sidekick. He also felt bitter knowing that it was Izuku, not him, being close to his crush and nearly dating her. Mirio had developed a crush on Nijire during the beginning of the second year, but now he didn't know. With the extra stress from people criticizing him when he wasn't looking, but being able to hear it made something break within Mirio. It may have been the stress, the anger from Izuku, frustration from Beast throwing him, or even jealousy, but he would regret what he did next. So what? Izuku could fucking beat All Might and Maruko, and he has grown a lot. Then he was recognized as the weakest national rank hero, but now people are saying that he is on the same level as All Might, the fucking strongest, even without his shadows. The rise of Mirio's tone wasn't lost to 1A or anyone watching it. Aizawa was looking at Mirio with a new light now. He knew after the spring break something changed in Mirio, and now he wondered if he will be told why. "Mirio, calm down." Nijire started to try and calm the situation, but to no avail. "Calm down? Sir Night Eye predicted that I will be the strongest, the light of the future, but he didn't see Izuku. He wasn't planned. I am All Might's protege, he trained me, expected me to fill his shoes, but now everyone started to look down on me. I wasn't there to help my master defeat All for One. I wasn't there to do anything to show my worth. It is all because Monarch." Anger was seeping in the tone of Mirio, with his aura rising up too. Tamaki was backing up due to Nijire and Mirio's confrontation. Nijire wasn't a confrontational type, but when someone shuns or says anything about her precious people, may Kami help the poor soul. Her aura was rising to new levels not seen by either boys. Now it was mid-S rank level, where previously it was at high A rank. "It wasn't my fault that Zuku is out there helping people. Heck, he isn't even receiving anything but a thank you from everyone. Now you are here bitching because people are angry at you for not even protecting them from the gates or helping All Might. The power that you possess is getting in your head, Mirio. You think you can become a #1 hero, but so far the people don't see that. Mostly it is Night Eye and possibly All Might who cares about it anyways." She wanted to make Mirio calm down, but even at the back of her head, she doubted that what she said even worked. "Not protecting them? That is what you are saying? The people should be grateful, and S rank like myself protecting them is a bonus for them. No harm will be done to them, but everyone seemed to ignore that. I am overshadowed by your precious Zuku. The two auras were clashing hard now. Grateful? Wasn't your goal to save 1 million people? Heroes are the ones to protect the innocent, the civilians. What have you become, Mirio?" she said in a whisper with her hair overshadowing her eyes. This was the last straw. Mirio charged at Nijire full force. Luckily, she dodged and flew up with her energy waves. Mirio jumped up with a punch aimed at her stomach, but was met with an energy wave with some explosion release being added to it. Mirio, in his state of mind, didn't have his permeation on and so was hit with an energy wave that exploded when in contact with him. The shock made him hit a wall. He had wide eyes looking at her newfound ability. How? Nijire just gave a disappointed look towards Mirio. "Everyone keep secret. Don't badmouth Izuku Midoriya because he is more of a hero that you will be." With that, she walked off to her Izuku's room, whilst leaving 1A, Aizawa, and the two remaining Big Three members in shock from having explosions in her waves. No one expected to see this, especially Tamaki. Everyone thought that Nijire was a happy but peaceful individual, but now they know not to mess with her. Nijire started to have some tears in her eyes. Izuku mentioned to her that if she ever needs to go to his room when he was away, then she could. When arriving, she went to the bed, but before she could cry some more, she was hugged by Izuku. The walk from the plane to the agency wasn't long. They were in one of the two agencies that Star and Stripe goes between. One in the outskirts that had a landing area for planes and the other one in Washington. Star and Stripe, otherwise called Kathleen, was showing Izuku around happily, whilst Izuku greeted everyone with a smile and a wave. And now finally, this is the area where I do my paperwork in this agency. Kath finished of the speech. Izuku nodded in wonder. This is one of the two agencies, right? Yup. The other one is in Washington. I swap around there every week, so next week we will be working there. Izuku just nodded to that. She continued, today get some rest. You may experience some time problems as USA is a couple of hours behind Japan. Izuku just nodded, and with a hug the two separate. I will try my hardest with the time difference between USA and Japan. So if I got anything wrong, just flow with it, please. They are in the west of USA and it's around 16-17 hours behind the Japanese time. So when Izuku arrived there, night was coming along as it was Sunday. Izuku's room was a nice and cozy place. A double bed with a closet and a private bathroom. He had a view of the landing area for the jets and planes with some hills in the background. Going to his bed, he just laid down chatting to Sass and Kaki for some time until he fell asleep. He doesn't really use them much, but he talks to them as often as he could. Izuku also sent some of his shadows around the area he was located in to report their findings. Next day, it was Monday in USA whilst nighttime in Japan when Izuku woke up. It was 6 in the morning. Getting into the shower and doing his morning preparations, he got out to get some American-style breakfast. In the food court, he chatted to some of Star's sidekicks and asked general questions and how the gates were going. When it hit 7 a.m., he got into his hero suit, which was some black trousers, white shirt, and a black cloak. There was a small difference though, as Izuku had a yellow crescent moon on one of his sleeves. In the middle of the crescent moon was a star symbolizing his internship under Star and Stripe. Looking good there, Izuku, or should I call you Monarch? Izuku just smirked. I don't mind, Kath, or should I be calling you by Star and Stripe? His smirk widened seeing her smirk too. It was still something seeing the 6 feet 4 inches woman's in her hero suit. Her aura demanded respect, but in all honesty, Kath liked to be informal with her friends even during work. She just shook her head. Only hero names in public, hey? Izuku nodded and asked, so what is our plan for my time being here? Due to the emergence of the gates, we will be doing them, but also patrolling the surrounding states. Later on today, we have an A-rank gate to do. So we will be taking some of my new recruits whilst we will just supervise. Kath explained. She did a lot of gates in her spare time and killed of any monsters that escape from the gates. The crime rate is slowly going down due to the so-called villains getting their license to use their quirks or meta abilities for once and not need to go to hero schools to use their quirks. Also, we will be on the lookout for an anti-quirk group. Reports from the government spies state that they will be getting bolder soon, and with the minor chaos from the gates, that wouldn't be too pleasant. Izuku just nodded. It took the duo around 10 minutes to talk with Kath explaining. The group is called the Human Liberation Front, and they are starting getting more attention, but in the negative light. The people around the world saw that their quirks can be used for more good than evil, as guns are pretty much useless in gates. They have to have a different source to kill the monsters, so quirks. Izuku nodded and then asked a question. I remember Nisa saying that the government is trying to sort something against that group. It was found that they have a machine to kill of people with quirks. Izuku frowned as he said that, and Star just nodded sadly. Kath knew that if Izuku was killed by that group in USA, the repercussions would be massive as the people started to look up to Izuku. Monarch became a popular figure all around the world. It was because of him that the casualty rates were lower than it should have been. But there are other things involved. If Izuku dies in USA under her protection, everyone knew that Izuku is a 17-year-old and just recently started his hero career. They don't expect much, but we're grateful for the help and the kindness of a national-level hero in training. So for instance, if Izuku dies for some reason, USA will have repercussions. Other countries would believe that it was unsafe in the States and the trading and other agreements would become null. However, there is something to be gained if Izuku doesn't die. Every country government and hero association knew that Japan didn't have a contract made with Izuku, so in theory he is up for grabs. That is why, even with the risk of the repercussions if Izuku dies, they would have a better chance of having a national hero for help. There are laws for the national rank level heroes that the public acknowledges. That is something that every S-rank hero and other heroes wish for. That being said, if one becomes a national rank hero, then there are some unwritten laws that the governments need to abide by, and Japan is doing a fantastic way of not doing them. As written before, national rank heroes can be defeated by another national rank hero, villain, or an unfortunate event. In most cases, it's another national rank or retirement. All Might was the strongest and is still said that he is one of the strongest in the world, but the only Hurios before Izuku was Kathleen from USA and Vladimir from Russia that can contend for the #1 spot. Now, with Monarch being one of the strongest and making friends around the world, it will be harder for Izuku to be killed without repercussions. Now, what Japan's HSPC and government failed to do yet was to establish a good relationship with Izuku, meaning if Izuku so pleases he could go to another country, ruin the economy of Japan, or start using his power for evil purposes. Luckily, Izuku wouldn't do that as he still has loved ones to care for, but even now Izuku frowned upon the HSPC. From what Nizu told him, they wanted to have a leash over him at the beginning of UA. The positives of being a national rank hero was being able to have more freedom, have a voice in the country's politics, and can have partial control over the military if they wish for. Of course, there are other benefits like extra pay, but Izuku doesn't care about those at the moment. Anyways, for the next 4 hours, Kathleen showed Izuku about paperwork, routines, maintenance of the base, and familiarizing with the surroundings. For PM, Izuku with his hero suit and Samahata on his back, he wants to finally try the sword if the opportunity presents itself, stood with Kathleen as she started to look towards her new sidekicks. Hello everyone, this will be your first A rank gate as all of you have been training from E ranks to be rank gates. Monarch and myself will be accompanying you for your safety. They checked with the gate measuring device which stated it was a ranked, and something interesting happened. The people who attended gates often started to feel how strong a gate was, but that could be told with experience such as Kath did. Both of us won't interfere until the situation is needed to, as everyone is prepared. Let's us head in. The group had 15 recruits, 8 A ranks and 7 B ranks. The group was separated by the tanks, mages, damage dealers, and support. Tanks are the protections of the group. They usually have a defensive type of quirk such as hardening or had a shield as a support item. The mages are the long and mid-range support, otherwise known as long-range attackers. They usually have an emitter types, but not all of the emitter types are the so-called mages. The damage dealers have more specialistic weapons such as swords or even axes. They deal the most damage to opponents. Finally, the support, they are healers and equipment carriers. They only can interfere if the situation is dire, bar the healers. For some unexpected reason, the world has started to call the people who go into gates hunters while still keeping the hero in it. There is also a requirement for every so-called hunter to have a cutting type weapon with them in all gates for their safety. You have entered a gate. Looking around, you could see that they are in a large dungeon that could even fit Fluffy. There are the old-fashioned torches on the walls every 20 meters. It was the only source of light. Suddenly, they heard some movement up front and saw a pack of 4 jackals running towards them. One of the heavy hitters frowned and swept his hand, causing his wind-type quirk to slash their throats, killing them. Kathleen frowned and asked, "Why is a C-rank monster in an A-rank gate?" Izuku just walked forward and kneeled down. "They have been kept here and most probably trained. Sensing that they will have company soon," Izuku said, "They are most likely from a hunting party trying to check us out." Going back to the back, he received nods from the others, as it was also good information for the recruits to learn. One of the supporters then spoke, "I can feel 5 presences. They are low A-rank level monsters." She got a nod from the rest of the party, the quirk of the female hero who said it was able to feel the vibrations through her soles of her feet. She was one of the key players in the group as her quirk is a location-finding one. The 5 monsters came to them looking pretty tall. Izuku recognized them as orcs. Looking at the white names, he internally scoffed but allowed things to play out. High Orcs X5. The High Orcs had an intimidating aura around them that caused some of the weaker B ranks to sweat. Getting out of the shock, the group started to attack the orcs. The one with the wind ability used it to cut some muscles on one of the orcs. Then a woman with a long sword rushed in and jumped, slashing a monster by half. That woman's name was Zest, a high A rank, and had the ability of the manipulation of earth. Her mother has a quirk called Demonic Body, whilst her father had the ability to manipulate mud. With the combination of the 2 quirks, she looks similar to her mother, gaining a minor strength boost with her speed, but her most dangerous trait is in her quirk. Zest recently discovered her love for swords, and with enhancing it with quirk, it makes it more durable and allows it to cut deeper than usual bladed attacks. She isn't wearing much protection, but her agility is higher than most. She is probably in high A rank. Izuku thought to himself. With one of the high orcs down, one other A-rank female shot an arrow piercing a shoulder, allowing a B-rank support to send their sentient quirk to finish of the job. With no time, 2 other high orcs were defeated, and the last one, who stood at the back, said something shocking everyone. "Mortals, follow me. I want to see you." This came out of the high orc, but everyone realized that the monster was being controlled to say that. "Should we kill it, boss lady?" one of the hunters asked Star and Stripe. Not yet, it will show us to the main area. If anything goes wrong, Monarch and myself will protect you. Kathleen told the group, which they nodded to. They continued to travel for around 8 minutes with some light conversation occurring between the party. Zest slowed down to talk to her boss and the boss's friend. You must be Monarch. Nice meeting you. Her voice wasn't cold per se, as Izuku could hear some friendliness to it. Izuku just nodded. Nice attack. I am pretty sure you could take down a lowest rank monster with that. Thanks. An awkward silence came before the two for some reason. Kathleen, seeing this, shook her head and spoke. We will be reaching the place. Nodding, everyone prepared for what will happen. It was massive. The room that they entered would fit Izuku's army and still have space for more. It seemed like they were located in some kind of arena from the looks of it. In front of them, there was a big high orc sitting on a throne with 4 bodyguards standing around. The orc that got them to come here joined the crowd. Izuku could see that some of the hunters were shaking, but he couldn't blame them. He sensed there to be 150 high orcs, and there were 5 orcs at a higher level than the others. Kathleen looked around, seeing the 155 monsters. She wasn't worried, but knew her limits. Her quirk allowed her to become a national-level hero, as not only could she apply it on herself, but onto others too. The gates was a weakness for her, as she couldn't put the monsters through her quirk. So using the 2 slots, she got her abilities as high as possible. Welcome to the arena, mortals. The one in the throne boomed out. For some reason, everyone heard a sadistic voice coming from that monster. With the creator, he had many names: the creator, father, or how his favorite, the absolute being. Being older than the universe makes one board, and that is how he created the monarchs and the rulers. Originally, the 2 groups fall to the enjoyment of the creator, but then when the rulers discovered that the monarchs are using innocent beings, they did something that not even the creator expected. Using all of their might and some stolen artifact from their father, all rulers died, sealing the monarchs away for eons to come. There was only 2 miscalculations that the rulers didn't predict. Ashbourne, who was on the monarch's side, wasn't there during the battle, and secondly was Antares. The 2 were the strongest out of the monarchs. Due to Ashbourne not being present, the fight went better than expected, but when using the forbidden technique, Antares messed the sealing up a little. What the monarch did was weakening the seal for it to be able to break at some time, and permanently weakening the absolute being. That is why the old man with a beard could only watch. If more power was exerted by him, then there would be nothing he could do if something similar would happen again. This is the reason why the creator sent the essence of Ashbourne, his most loyal child, onto Earth to find someone who his powers would be bestowed upon. He is building the human resistance to the energy the gates produce so that there would be the least amount of casualties, and hoped that the new Ashbourne would be enough. Using a viewing portal made up of some kind of mist, he looked into the abyss of space to spot his other children. They were on par with monarchs and rulers, but had a different job: to keep peace whilst the absolute ruler rested or did something else. The beings had the power to destroy a planet in the blink of the eye if they so wished for, but they too went into deep sleep. Before going into the eternal sleep, they managed to reproduce, allowing their kids to do their duty. However, they were weaker. Frowning, seeing that one of those beings is headed towards Earth, he hoped that Izuku could deal with it in time. It is said that orcs have a scar for every battle they won. With that being said, the high orcs around them had multiple scars on them. It was only Izuku who realized this, as the others were new at the gates. Kargalgan, the high orc great sorcerer, bodyguard of Kargalgan. Greetings humans, I am Kargalgan. He raised his hand, and then some of the group in front of Izuku, all bar Izuku, coughed up blood, much to the shock of the 2 national rank heroes. Even Kath coughed up some. They saw Kargalgan smirk. My magic can't be dispelled by you mortals. Star, seeing that 9 of her subordinates are on the floor coughing up blood, with the healer 2 being in the predicament, frowned and walked forward. Why did you call us here, and what do you want? Kath asked. Though she thought, this is definitely a higher rank boss, even I shouldn't underestimate it. Does she want to negotiate with the boss? Izuku thought whilst looking at his friend. This is a reason why gates pay a lot. Not only the monster drops, but also the crystals can be sold, but the death rate is still high. Looking around more clearly, he could see bones littering the walls, but the flood of the red skin from the high orcs could overwhelm anyone's senses. Wait! Lowering his glasses so more information could come through, his eyes widened at what he could sense. Talking in a voice only heard by Star and Stripe, he told, I thought there are around 150 of them, and the 5 on top. There are 400 of the normal high orcs and 20 higher signatures, but Kargalgam is still the highest. They could completely eliminate a small town, but this is crazy even for me. Kathleen thought with the fact. Do you not fear me? Humans! The roar of Kargalgam was heard all over the room. The white tattoos glowed an ominous blue whilst the red eyes glowed with power. With the addition of the raising of his hand, every hero was hit with the magical energy that the beast held inside. The difference between aura and magical energy is different, but not like night and day. Whilst aura shown the general strength of an individual, magical energy release shows that the individual usually deals with spells than close-range combat. One of the male rankers, who was a tanker, asked a repetitive question. Why did you ask for us? Even if my brethren were killed by you humans, they were only 4, whilst here you have a full might of the high orcs. Kargelgam then took a couple of seconds, then continued. For entertainment. What? The same A ranker asked. During our remaining time here, we'll kill you one by one for my men's entertainment. A roar of approval was heard all around by the high orcs. However, there seems to be something odd amongst you humans. A penetrative stare was given one Izuku Midoriya. Entertainment. That was the thought of most of the party. We are not toys to be played with. Star spoke. With that, she charged up her quirk to the fullest and rushed with unholy speeds towards Kargelgam. The rest watched as their leader rushed in with a sword, rushing downwards to the orc. Hymn of protection. No one expected it, not even Izuku, to see Star's attack being blocked, a blue dome pushing her back. Foolish human. Even with your strength, you will be nothing in front of me. Kargelgam looked down at her and said, gravitation magic. The team watched in horror as Star was lifted against her own will with a red aura around her, smashing her to the ceiling. When she was going down, the boss spoke. Gravity acceleration. Before Kargelgam got her smashed to bits on the floor, Izuku used the skill, sprint, and caught Star in a princess carry. A glare from the Manjiko Sharingan was what the boss received. Izuku whispered to Star, next time try not to get your anger affect you in a fight. A gentle smile appeared on his face whilst he placed her on her feet. Cracking his neck, Izuku spoke to the orcs around him with a massive smirk. He already started healing the others up, as the curse the boss gave upon them caused a lot of blood loss to appear. One of the bodyguards was asked to take Izuku down, but with Izuku's skill in gravity, he just thrown the orc away like it was nothing. You have quite an amazing talent for a mere human, but how long will that last against all of us? What weak energy you are producing, Izuku mentioned, ignoring the army comment for now. You insolent human, Kargelgam growled out. However, this is a terrible matchup. Looking with his Manjiko Sharingan with the red glow, he continued. For you I mean, come forth my shadows. The commanding voice Izuku held was something to be impressed upon. Around 500 shadows came out of Izuku's shadow, all ready to battle. Some were flying whilst the others were standing at attention. This energy, it is way more powerful than bosses, Zest thought. She was thankful for Izuku for healing her and now was standing behind Izuku and his shadows. That is a lot of shadows. He could pretty much take over any country if he wanted to, and the rumors say that he continues to grow with every fight. Izuku's eyes still kept the color red whilst looking at the boss and his minions. But the boss continued to show false bravado. Trying to puck a fight with my warriors with shadows? A smirk appeared on Izuku's face. If you look down on us too much, it'll be disastrous. Then a second passed and then a wider smirk appeared, showing his teeth. I wanted to test this out. It will be overkill, but trying new things won't hurt. Domain of the Monarch. Skill, Domain of the Monarch activated. A skill that he received as a mystery prize from the Heaven's Gate. He wasn't in need of this skill, but with the 155 visible orcs and the 265 other hidden orcs, he would need that. Shadow soldiers fighting above the caster's shadow will have their stats increased by 50%. A job-specific skill that increased the stats by 50%. An example would be Gabriel. She was in the captain level, but with this boost she achieved the mysterious grade above her in power. A large circle of shadow appeared around Izuku, spreading wide to fit his whole shadow army. Every shadow has a tint of purple in them, or had all blue turn into a purple color, indicating that their stats are higher. What just happened? Zest asked, not knowing what is happening. I can't believe it. He still has a lot more tricks up his sleeve. Star muttered, watching in awe. Still, that is a lot of ominous energy that is coming from him. The B-rank censor commented, what are you all doing? Destroy him already. Kargelgam yelled out to his subjects. With a mighty roar, the orcs and the shadows clashed. Deidara is using the skill Mad Bomber. Multiple small clay bombs escaped from the arms of Deidara as the first wave of attack, blowing the orc ranks away like it was nothing. It was soon clear, seeing that the normal high orcs will stand no chance at this rate. Come in the rest. The rest of the 265 high orcs came jumping down from hidden compartments. It was still a one-sided massacre. Izuku rushed towards the boss whilst leaving the now 20 bodyguards to his captains. Using Samahata in his right hand whilst the Kusanagi in his other hand, Izuku did the same attack as Star used with the same form of protection. Samehada ate the power away from the protection, but the grass cutter cut through the barrier like it was nothing. Kargalgam, his eyes widened seeing the display and received some cuts and the right part of his body being shaved off by Samehada. This may be overkill, but it will still help them raise their level. Izuku thought to himself whilst using the Kamui ability to miss the fire attack that Kargalgam shot at him of the fire dragon. It was shot by a dragon's head that appeared above the boss. Summoning his spear, he threw it at a bodyguard that was too close for his liking. Some of the knights and most elite and normal have been destroyed at some point, but I still have more than enough MP to keep them going. The numbers on the opponent's side was dropping like flies, which the boss took notice of. Growling, Kargalgam spoke. Those puppets of yours are not as useless as I thought. Izuku just smirked, sensing the plan that one of his shadows formulated. If I have enough energy, then they will continue to regenerate. Then a massive smirk appeared on his face, waving goodbye. Can it be? Is he the pound? $. But he was cut off at the end. Kargalgan, the High Orc Great Sorcerer, has been defeated. It was Toby that used his Kamui ability to go behind Kargalgan, killing the High Orc with a slash to the neck. A shame that not many opponents were national level. That is what Izuku thought, but then he shook his head as he just knew that something will happen to him. Looking back, he asked the 16 others, "Everyone good?" He looked, seeing that the High Orcs started to be finished off with ease. "Yup, my quirk isn't the best with the gates, but against human villains. Anyways, we should start heading out," Star mentioned to everyone. They all nodded whilst Izuku just said one word, "Arise," with that Kargalgan. The 20 High Orcs bodyguards and other High Orcs rose up, turning into shadows. The party group just had their eyes widened at this. The High Orcs shared the same trend: black shadowy hair, red skin with pink teeth/tusks, white eyes, and the scars turned black. "I will be changing your name. You will be called Tusk from the tusks you have. Tusk LV.1, Elite Kite. High Orc Boss, 20 High Orc Bodyguard LV.20, Knight, 20 High Orc LV.4, Knight. You leveled up. Skill. Healer leveled up from LV.8 to LV.9. Skill. Weapons Expert leveled up from LV.3 to LV.4. So this a rank gate is around a level up for me? It will be slow, I guess. But I still have some other keys," Izuku thought as he caught up to the group. They continued to walk out when he was asked a question from Zest, who was standing near the two national rank heroes. "How come you were not affected by the curse? Both of our power level are high enough to have some kind of regeneration factor. Izuku's is faster than mine at the moment, but that it." Star and Stripe explained to Zest, who nodded. Base. All of the 17 members of the party are being debriefed by Star, whilst we knew that this gate was on a higher scale than an average A rank. If anything happens and you know that you can't defeat, run. I don't care if the gate will be still open, collect your comrades and run. "Hi, boss," the 15 shouted in appreciation. Izuku just nodded, seeing Star speak. Star just smiled at everyone. Because of the gates, she had to employ more sidekicks that could help deal with the gates. Now she has 3 gate parties, 1 in Washington and 2 in this base. 10 minutes later, after the meeting, Izuku was eating his dinner when Zest sat in front of him. Quirking an eyebrow, he asked, "You okay?" "Yes, thank you." Her voice wasn't as emotionless as before, but had a tint of happiness in it. Although her outward expression didn't change, Izuku felt the twitch of some muscles indicating that a smile was blooming. "How is Japan compared to USA?" Looking at the ceiling, Izuku replied, "Not that different, surprisingly. I still need to see how the patrols differ though." Zest just nodded. After eating a couple of spoonfuls of her meal, she continued, "So, anything interesting is happening with you in Japan? I could say that I have 3 girlfriends, a couple other people have a crush on me. Washington has a gate that I need to complete." Izuku thought, then he said, "I just started my 2nd term of UA. My classmates just got their provisional licenses yesterday." Zest just nodded. "So tell me about you." Zest, "Right, we barely know each other?" A small quirk of her lips due to Izuku remembering her name. She spoke whilst nodding. What should I tell? I am 20 and I just started working here before the gates appeared. I have a sweet tooth, but also recently I found a fascination with swords." Izuku nodded, hearing that. "What about you?" "I just know the bare facts that the media present." "Sure. I met Star and Stripe during summer at Island and we became friends. I am 17 and I like to discover new things, such as abilities of my quirk or the world. I don't really like reporters and I have 3 girlfriends." Izuku mentioned, but when he spoke about his girlfriends, a small smile came on his face, indicating to Zest that he truly cares about them. "I see, so She was cut off by Kathleen entering the dining area. "Ah, Izuku, you are here. Hey, Zest." Star greeted them as old buddies. "If you don't mind, can I steal Izuku from you?" "Hi, boss." The devil woman agreed, but Kath could hear a tone of sadness in her voice. "Sure, I will just put my tray away." With that he left, whispering to Zest, "Don't worry, I will help you out," with a wink at the end. Zest just wanted to hide her face. She thought that she understood her boss. Kathleen wanted to help her out with Izuku, right? In Izuku's room, an hour later. It was an hour after he spoke to Zest. Kathleen wanted to ask him some quest science and some general information, but now Izuku left to his room to relax. Laying down on his bed, Sass and Kaki were eating some food whilst he was trying to expand his senses. Eyes widening, seeing through Uriel's eyes, he used the skill Shadow Exchange and hugged Nijire whilst Uriel was dealing with the Kwamis. "It's alright, Nijire. I am here," Izuku said whilst Nijire was hugging his body. "Do you want to talk about it? Or continue hugging?" "I don't mind as I am free." "Hug at the moment." Izuku just nodded, hearing a usually confident woman have a small breakdown in front of him. The monarch looked outside the window and saw it was still daytime whilst it was nighttime at USA. He continued to hug her until her soft cries turned into small snores of contentment. Izuku whispered to a shadow, "Wake me up if anything is happening in the USA or after 3 hours." The angel on guard nodded and returned to Izuku's shadow. 2 hours later, Nijire started to wake up. She just remembered what happened between herself and Mirio Togata in the gym. Now all she could remember was her Zuzu under her whilst she is hugging him, taking all of the warmth. Opening her eyes, she saw the one Izuku Midoriya under her. The warmth he was producing was intoxicating. Izuku also started to wake up from the movements. "Hey Nijire, feeling better?" Izuku asked whilst putting his arms around her, making her head go back onto his chest. The only female in Big Three heard the gently beating of Izuku's heart. With a small smile, "Yeah, feeling better now. Thanks. Want to talk about it?" Izuku said with a whisper, even though he knew bits about what happened. Talking in a low tone, Nijire told Izuku what happened. From the fight between 1A and Mirio to Mirio nearly shattering all of Katsumi's bones but was protected by Beast. Later on the confrontation between herself and Mirio, with finally Mirio trying to get a hit on her whilst she revealed the explosion release. Izuku listened to all what she had to say and continued to hug her while some of her tears hit Izuku's chest. There was one thought in Izuku's mind. He continues to learn since the sludge villain incident that family and friends are the most important if we ignore hero duty. Trying to cheer Nijire up, but also with the thought, "I will murder you." A nice image can be seen. Due to Izuku only having a father after his mother died, he cared for his family above all else, that included his friends. Now seeing Nijire, a lover of his, being down, "Yeah, you see the picture. It will be alright, I am sure of it. Ignore Mirio's words, and if you want to cuddle or talk, just send me a text message. I will try getting here as fast as possible. Also, you can continue to use my room like it's yours." The duo continued to chat whilst Izuku produced some sushi for the duo to eat whilst they watched a movie. Now Nijire was happy. They had a mini date night, cuddling, watching a movie, and eating one of her favorite foods. A couple of hours later, Izuku had to bid Nijire farewell as he was going to be needed in USA. The both locked their lips in a passionate exchange with the battle of the tongues happening. Due to the height difference, Izuku placed Nijire's feet around his waist and continued to kiss. After the kiss and the final goodbye to Izuku, Nijire had one thought only: "I need a cold shower." With Izuku and Star, it was their morning talk and Kathleen asked, "So what do you think of Zest?" Not expecting this, the first few words came out spluttered. Then, after composing himself, Izuku spoke. "Zest seems nice. She has a good head on her shoulders, and I predict for her to break the S-rank barrier soon with her sword techniques. Other than that, I don't know, but I would want to become friends with her." Star just nodded. "Why did you ask anyways?" "Oh, nothing really. Anyways, get ready, we will be heading over to the city to do some patrolling." Kathleen spoke. Izuku nodded and then started to prepare, aka wait atop the helicopter deck for Star and Stripe, with Zest and Kathleen. A smirking Kathleen walked up to Zest and gave the secret recording to her. "Here is an answer. As we both know, he has 3 girlfriends, and maybe you'll become his 4th. Zest had her eyes widen at that. "Why do you want to help anyways?" A smile came up on Kathleen's face. "He is like a younger brother I never had." Then a glare came upon a gulping Zest. "So if you harm him, I will end you." Then a sweet smile came upon her face. "All right, yes, I understand, ma'am." Zest spoke with a small stutter. Izuku and Kathleen. In USA, the patrolling system is a little different than in Japan. Due to some laws made a couple of centuries ago, a lot of people can own firearms. This is also why USA has a lot of new heroes have a stop in their career due to that fact. Luckily, the support department makes all suits bulletproof to a certain extent. She then threw a mini camera to Izuku. This small device is needed on you on all times when patrolling a city. Just in case someone wants to sue you, you will always have evidence if you ever need it. Izuku nodded and placed it over his overcoat in a hidden pocket. I am guessing you are speaking from experience. Sighing, she nodded. Yeah, at the beginning of my career, some actor wanted money after apparently I trashed his house. It was the villain actually, and when in court I showed the recording. There are other cases, but this one was one of the tamer ones. Izuku just nodded. Now with the two national rank heroes flying around, they are sure to cause a scene, and so they did. They were in a city somewhere in California, and with 1 hour of work, they already stopped 5 crimes. After the hour, Kath allowed some shadows to help reduce incidents, and after the next hour, 23 more crimes were stopped. Izuku had his eyes wide open at the difference in crimes between Japan and USA. So that is how they continued for the day. Probably the highlight of that day was stopping a small forest fire due to one kid accidentally burning a tree. Now the news knows that Monarch is interning under Star and Stripe. During the day, the two became closer. Not in a romantic way, but more of a sibling way. The teasing remarks to the competitive spirit that can only be formed by siblings was occurring. Izuku was happy that he had found someone that he can call a sister figure, with the creator looking over the land of peace, otherwise known as his domain. He sat alone on his chair thinking about his oldest creation, the one who was the most loyal to him until his death. Ashbourne, I hope your legacy is pleasing you. The boy is making waves on Earth, but soon he will know about you and the gift I have given you. With love. After the defeat of AFO, Shigaraki and his group went into hiding and trying to level up, as Tamura liked to say. The doctor that was like the left-hand man to AFO didn't contact them yet, so now they were left on their own. They of course entered the dungeons, and my oh my, it was a sight to see seeing the members of LOV being free. The use of their quirks to adapt to the monsters was something to see. Even if they tried to befriend some, that too didn't end up well. Tamura sighed as he read an article about his rival Izuku in USA. He still couldn't help but smile with what Izuku gave him. Flashback. Whilst Izuku and All Might was facing of against All for One, Tamura and his group were watching their sensei battle it out. When AFO made Kurogiri's quirk active, Izuku used this chance to make a node become invisible and used gravity manipulation to place it in a pocket of the new leader of LOV. After having a chair turn to dust, he noticed something in his pocket, so he read it. Tamura Shigaraki, I am sorry about your sensei, but I hope we can still be rivals. I know that I was holding back whenever we met each other, but I hope you train and become the strongest villain. I want to have a rival. I am bored limiting myself. You might ask, why would I want a villain to become strong? It is simple. I know All for One helped you expand your hatred, but life isn't fun with only hatred. So instead of focusing on destroying the world, train and become stronger, so when we will clash, our battle will be told to the future generations of the battle between the gods. Izuku aka Monarch. It was a surprise a hero wanted to help a villain become stronger, but he just smirked and placed the piece of paper in his pocket. He will happily become stronger and become one of the 2 gods that Izuku mentioned to him. Flashback end. Since the day AFO has been defeated, Tamura continued to train, but now he was sighing as the meeting with Overhaul went worse than he thought. Twice brought him to their current hideout, and after some talking, shit hit the fan. The bird-faced leader wanted to combine LOV with his group of Yakuza under his name, not Tamura's. A small battle ensured with Mr. Compress losing an arm and Himiko's equipment becoming destroyed. Now he had to think of a way to make the situation more favorable in his direction. And that's a wrap for What If Deku Had Solo Leveling System, Part 7. This series is only getting wilder, and you do not want to miss what happens next. If you're hyped for more, smash that like button. Let's hit 100 likes and keep the momentum going. Huge shout out once again to Michael Zelanka for their amazing work on this concept. Show them some love. And to all my legendary warriors, your support is what keeps this series alive. Thank you for making this journey legendary. Drop your theories in the comments. What's Deku's next power-up? Who's the next challenger? Let's talk about it. I'll catch you in the next one. Stay strong, stay legendary. Chronos out.